Issues. I'm Teresa, and thank you so much for joining me for today's live stream. I'm getting myself situated here. Bear with me a little bit, and we'll get started as soon as some folks come into the chat. I do want to let everyone know I want to thank those who did join me on the tarot live stream earlier today on Anunnaki Ancient. Why do I keep calling Anunnaki Oracle Priestess? That was a nice little session there, and definitely I encourage y'all to keep showing up there so we can hit the algorithm and make some things happen. I did not do an installation in the Book of Enoch today. I started to and fell asleep listening to some information that I wanted to kind of check on, and it truthfully took me down a rabbit hole that I'm going to have to regroup and get my thoughts together about. I will address those issues shortly here, but yeah, today I just had to take a little bit of a breather on it. Hello, those coming in. Welcome. I'm late today. Yep. Oh no, you were out. You were right on time, Niana. Hey, Miss Yates. How you doing, Miss Amanda? Niana, welcome to you. Hey, bro, 100. Awesome. Welcome in. And I'm sorry I'm late, y'all, because I messed around and fell asleep. I had a busy little afternoon after I got off the live stream at about 4 p.m. I had to go cook dinner for my roommate. And then I went and connected with my partner, did our little meditative thing, but of course, listening to meditation music and linking up with him telepathically and all of that, I fell asleep. But y'all, I bumped into, and again, I don't think it's coincidental at all because I know there's no such thing. I was looking for something else, and I went on Morgan Official's site looking at some info. He did a recent upload about the Book of Enoch, and I'm glad I looked at it because it answered some questions for me. As I'm reading it, I'm beginning to see that kind of schizophrenic type talk in there. It's like we want to make the story be about one being, and there's all the good guys or all the bad guys. And the way Enoch goes down, it talks about the watchers like they're all bad, but that just question that a little bit. And I'm glad I took some time. I'm going to have to go back and kind of redigest what Morg had to say. And it's going to take me into the Gnostic text faster and deeper than I wanted to. But I will get into that a little bit later because it is a little bit confusing. But after that, I also bumped into another. You know how you'll listen to one um, content creator and then it'll lead you to another video of theirs, which I did. Hey Yee, thank you so much. Hey Lama Shallow, how are you? From the Gambia. Oh wow. I'm doing well, and how are you? Um but yeah, it when I went into the next video, it was talking about Yahweh, and basically for the Muslims that we have coming into the chat sometimes that are questioning Yahweh's connection to El, he talks about the way Yahweh began absorbing other gods, how the Jews had been polytheistic, then they kind of ramped down and rebranded into henotheism, and then they ramped down even further into monotheism. But it talks about how El, the connection to Yahweh, and El, the connection to Asherah, the connection to Baal, and all of those things. So I'm just gonna, I was half asleep when I woke up and was hearing that. So I'm definitely gonna have to go back through it and take some notes and go into the scriptures because he was even talking about the scriptures where Yahweh was condoning the sacrifice of children and things like that. It was a lot to unpack within those two videos, but of course I will do it and bring it back to you all. It's just gonna take me a little while. I don't, yay, I love people, period. I do not care for any of the religions because they have all lied to us and led us amok. Because all of the Abrahamic religions on this planet, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, all fall under the umbrella of Yahweh worship. And Yahweh is the devil. The Gnostics knew that, but somehow we've managed to forget it, and he's absorbed other deities along the way and kind of hidden. He's been a wolf hiding in sheep's clothing by some very deliberate subterfuge in the sacred in the ancient texts. But Yahweh is a bad dude, and he always was a bad dude. But he has tricked people into believing that he's the creator of all, and he's got the whole world is worshiping the devil, and they don't even know. That's kind of the crux of my platform, you know. Well, again, Aharon, God don't abhor human sacrifice, because John 3:16 tell you that he loved the world so much he gave his own son as a human sacrifice. Now that too is a lie and a subterfuge, but he upheld human sacrifice for his own son. He told Abraham to sacrifice his child. Um, oh goodness, I can't think of the one that I was just listening to. Not Zebulon. It was somebody in the Bible. He said, if we get this battle, the next person that come out the door, I'll give as a sacrifice to Yahweh. And his daughter was the first one to come out to greet him after battle. And he literally sacrificed that child to Yahweh, and Yahweh allowed it. No, in this case, Aharon, Yahweh allowed that man to sacrifice his daughter. That part. Big girl, if you are at the point where you need to ask your daddy if you can use the phone, this is probably not a conversation for you. This is a grown folks chat room, so I would appreciate it if you get out of here. But thank you. Hey, Weston, how are you? Hey, Glove 100. Hey, Top Boy. No, God is not one, Aharon, and he never has been one. Yahweh is a storm god. And even in Yahweh's temple, they used to worship Baal and Asherah, his wife. Asherah was El's wife, but when Yahweh absorbed El, then Asherah became Yahweh's wife too. And right there in the temple of Yahweh, they had at least three deities that they offer. You got to know your history and stop listening to Sunday school watered down claptrap. Niana, oh, I was on Morgue Official. Let me know if this is too loud. Good Lord, I got it turned down to my usual standards, but it's louder than normal. Ugh. I'm not confused, Aharon. I'm not confused at all. I think you're confused, and that's quite all right. Because as long as you want to be quiet and listen, you might figure some things out. I'm not confused at all. I've been at this for way too long, probably longer than you've been alive. I'm 57 years old and was steeped in Christianity for 50 of them 57 years, but I know better now. And seriously steeped in it. I wasn't just a run into the church house on Sunday type of person. It was Tuesday Bible study, Thursday Bible study, ministry school, this, that, and the third, reciting. I was taught to read by the age of 3 from the Bible with a belt. I understand what I'm reading. I'm not confused at all, but thank you. Gustavo, if you show up on Anunnaki Oracle Priestess on that site, go to my other channel, subscribe there, and set for notifications. Tomorrow, when I go on, I'll be doing some free mini readings. That'll be like my third day going there, and but I'm not pulling tarot on these evening sessions. I never do, and I won't. So if you really need a reading, either go on that channel tomorrow when I am doing tarot on that channel, or email me at modernmysticmessages@gmail.com, and we can discuss a personal reading for you, and I'll share my pricing and everything with you then. Hey, Vincent Allen, how are you? And Aharon, you talking about, and capital letters ain't gonna do nothing but get you thrown out of here. My mods don't like people screaming at me, Abraham didn't sacrifice his son, but what the hell kind of God even put somebody under that kind of mental stress? He lied to Abraham and told him he was going to give him a son in his old age. Well, he didn't lie. He just delayed it by a quarter of a century. He made the promise to Abraham when Abraham was 75 years old that he would give him a son in his old age. And he didn't give him that son until he was 99 years old. After he went back on his own word in Genesis 18, he said none of us could see his face and yet live, but he personally came and showed his face. The one time he actually broke his own rules and showed up personally for Abraham in Genesis 18. And then he asked, "Where is Sarah?" And then he told him by next year she'll have a son. So he actually had to get off his high horse and actually impregnate her. And she did finally when he like I said, Abraham was 99 and Sarah was like 90, and they finally gave him a son. And then by the time Isaac got old enough to be moving around and all that, Abraham at that point is well over 100. Then Yahweh told Abraham to take his child up on the mountaintop and sacrifice him to him. That's cruel, mental cruelty. Ain't nothing cool about that. And the fact that preachers continually preach that from the pulpit like it's a wonderful thing because Abraham showed so much faith that he was willing. This man, this God, this so-called God that he done came out of Ur and bumped into and got him doing all of this stuff, for him to even turn around and tell him something like that. If Abraham had good sense, he would have left off of serving Yahweh right then and there. Nobody in their right mind is going to sit there until you finally, after a quarter of a century, you finally keep your promise to me, and then you turn around and tell me to sacrifice that child to prove my loyalty to you. Go to hell. No, absolutely not. Well, Brittany, that was the thing. And that's when it was Morgue Official that I was on, and it was an older um, upload of his when he was talking about the different gods in the that were around the Hebrew time during when that time when they were segueing from polytheism down into henotheism down into Yahweh worship. But there were several times that they were several different deities that were mentioned in the scriptures. And we get, because of Christianity and the Christian story, we always get this thing, we lump everything together as paganism. Just they put that title pagan on it, and we just go running into the street screaming and clutching our pearls because it's just so evil. But the Jews were worshiping those those deities, and they had magic showdowns between some of them deities. Like when they talked about Dagon, and the statue fell over, and they put it back up, and it fell over again, and the hands and the face fell off, and all that other stuff. They were out there practicing magic, worshiping multiple deities, and some of those deities actually condoned child sacrifice. Vincent Allen again. I can give you a reading if you care to show up. I've been on there 2 days in a row now on Anunnaki Oracle Priestess, like I promised I would. I was later getting there today than I had intended to, but I was on there for 2 hours and no one showed up. And I told y'all I would do a minimum of 3 days of free mini readings on that channel if you showed up, but you don't get to bounce up in here on this evening thing and demand a reading. I don't read tarot during these spiritual discussions. So I can't give you a reading here. You'd have to go on the channel where I do tarot and when I'm there live. Or you can email me and pay for a personal reading, and I'll be more than happy to give you one. Hey, Frank Jones, and thank you. Appreciate you. Oh, Gustavo. Yeah, Niana has had a personal reading from me. She's even had been around for some of the general readings that I do that she said resonated with her very much. So, my mods at this point, all of my mods that wanted personal readings have received them. So you can get their perspective on, how I am as a reader. Awesome. I never did say, I never said, oh, you know what? Whoa, whoa, whoa. McDon, I did say that Mary Magdalene, that Yeshua slept with Mary Magdalene, and the Gospel of Mary kind of suggests that one of those older texts that is considered an apocryphal text, or it's actually a little shard of ancient scripture that they found and translated. And I forgot what museum it's in now, but it talks about the fact that she was his favorite of all the disciples and that he kissed her on the mouth, and some of the other disciples were kind of jealous of the closeness that he had with Mary. But Christianity is the only one that wants to make a relationship, an actual alchemical sacred union between Mary and Yeshua, to be something forbidden. Why? Because they want to put forth that thought of him, of that whole immaculate conception, Son of God story, and all of that. But there are historians after the fact that say that not only did he not die during the crucifixion, but some say he lived to be 43 years old, or 48 years old, excuse me. And some say he lived to be as old as 80 years old. And he and Mary did have children. So, yeah. Yeah, if you choose to donate to the channel, Antoine has been so kind as to put my link there. I don't know nothing too much about the cabal, and I don't plan on discussing that. You want me to talk about stuff that can actually get me called tossed off of here? I'll look it up and see what I can and cannot say. But right now, I'm not talking about the cabal. Again, certain things, if I don't have a area of expertise in them, I'm not just gonna jump out there talking off the top of my head, because I'm not that person. That's why when I talk about stuff on this channel, I can say it with relative confidence. Yeah. SRA, no, I don't. I got a pen that don't have one to write though. I know that. Excuse me. Esther, you said, have I ever gotten confused in the types of beings I see spiritually? No, because I'm more clairaudient than I am clairvoyant anyway, and my clairvoyance is strictly in my third eye. I don't see apparitions and stuff, probably because my spirit team knows that that would probably scare the bejesus out of me. So no, I don't. Yeah, I go by how things feel and the information that I'm getting, and that I don't. No, I don't get confused. You said, what was the lamb to show the Lamb of God would be sacrificed? That was the message. When you have the Holy Ghost, no, I don't have no Holy Ghost. Holy Spirit. And again, there's some folks, Christian, you still trying to lay a Christian blanket over me, McDon. I'm not a Christian. So I'm not limited by Christian dogma, doctrine, or anything else. So you can take that somewhere else. You really can. Esther, honestly, before here's the thing, in order to keep from being confused about the beings you're connected with, you're going to have to learn more about the nature of the true nature of the God that you're serving, and be willing to accept the answers that you get. That's the difference. When I set out to understand the nature of Yahweh Jehovah, and I found some things that really, really didn't set well in my spirit, I still continued to research and go down that rabbit hole and accepted what I heard, instead of just continuing to whitewash it and gloss over it and close my eyes to the truth, because religion wants me to close my eyes to the reality of who and what Yahweh is. It's not that hard to trace, excuse me, the history of Yahweh through the pantheons. And in every single one of them, if you start doing that, go back and trace Yahweh back before he was called Yahweh, and how he was absorbed through pantheons throughout times. And you'll find out he's a very nasty, murderous, jealous, horrible He's a nasty son of a bitch. He's nothing nobody in their right mind should worship. Period. Abraham and Moses chose very poorly when they chose to bring their people into service to Yahweh. They delivered the whole planet into slavery. Thank you, Tracy and Nika. Appreciate you. Hey, Amanda. Yeah, you in here. Good, good, good. Hey, Time Lord. How are you? Hey, here to learn. Awesome. Cadillac. I don't appear to be British, so that's a plus. Oh, my goodness. Cadillac, I do read tarot, and some folks like to come on here and just bebop on the channel like they're gonna make me read tarot in the evening. I do not read tarot here. Now, what I do intend to do is set a schedule because I'm not gonna be able to do. I have two channels now. I can't do live streams on both channels every day because I do need to do individual studies so that I can bring y'all fresh perspectives on other information. We can get further down the spiritual rabbit hole, things like that. So what I will do is like Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday evenings, I'll be on here. And this is starting next week, starting Sunday. Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday evenings, I'll be on live in the evening times on this channel for spiritual discussions. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I'll be doing tarot during the daytime on live on Anunnaki Oracle Priestess, my other channel. And then on Saturdays, tentatively, I'll flip it and I'll do a live stream spiritual discussion on Saturday mornings or some earlier in the day on Saturday. Do a live stream discussing spiritual topics, and then do a late night tarot session on Saturday evenings on live stream for those who can't catch tarot during the day. That's the only thing that I could figure out where I could actually manage both the spiritual conversations and the tarot without burning myself completely crispy on both ends and still be able to upload content, fresh content to the channel, because the live streams are just an open forum, but I still have study that I want to do for my personal self. And there are people that don't always watch the live streams that I would still like to be able to upload information for. Hey, Tammy Warnick, how are you? Hey, Dips for Chips, welcome, welcome. I said, Esther A., I said, I see clairaudiently through my third eye. I don't see apparitions and ghosts at all. Hey, God's Princess, how are you? Hey, little Ed, welcome, welcome. You say you've been doing a lot of out of body experience stuff. I don't mess around in the astral a lot. There are some people that really, really do like to do out of body stuff. I've had a couple of out of body, like spontaneous out of body experiences when I wasn't particularly planning on it. But my last um, out of body experience was not a good one for me. And so I'm sure when I sleep, of course, I still do. We all do. But conscious astral travel at this point in time, I don't do. And even Thoth recommends, if you're going to mess around in the astral, be careful and know what you're doing. Travel in the curves. Do not travel in straight lines and angles, because there are beings in the astral that do not mean you well. And if you don't know what you're doing, you can get quite fucked up messing around in the astral realm. Be warned. I'm not telling you don't do it, but you do need to be spiritually mature and you do need to know what you're doing. Here to learn. You say you've been working on your childhood trauma. How do you know when it's complete? When you feel better and you're able to manifest more easily. It's not an instant process. I feel like I'm on Dark Night of the Soul 5.1 or some at least by now. It's layers, because you'll look at something from one aspect and you might be able to work your way through that. And then later on in meditation, something else come up that you're now able to process in a different way. And then 3 or 4 or 5 months from now, something else may come up. You'll be just like most of us didn't just close off to our trauma overnight. It was a constant layering up and up and up until we couldn't really face it anymore. And we just kind of closed the wall off to the past and left that back there. Unpacking those layers is a process as well for a lot of people. You'll know when it had you've been, like I said, when you're feeling pretty good about it, but mainly when the way you tell your story begins to change, when you can honestly see and understand that a lot of the things that happen to you happened for you and not to you, when you can learn to see the blessing in the mess, when you can learn to see how, even though it was uncomfortable, what you got out of it was a bit of the divine setup to basically put a quiver in your an arrow in your quiver for the spiritual walk ahead. That's when you know that you're getting down to it and really getting successful, because a lot of us have a lot of really nasty crap that we went through, especially chosen ones. We take the Super Dave crash and burn entry into this experience, but it's not just for the sake of it, seeing how much garbage we can endure. Those are karmic lessons, ancestral cycles that we are closing out. Probably the soul work of many lifetimes that we're working on during this time period. Are the lessons easy? No. Do they feel good? No. But it's just like playing a video game. When you first start playing a video game, you might get out in 2 or 3 minutes on one level, and then you got to reset the game because you done lost all three of your lives rather quickly. But the more you keep playing that game and keep playing that game, after a while, you can play 2 or 3 hours on one life. And right now, there's a lot of folks on the planet that are old souls. We done been here before. Some of us are ancient souls, and we're here to play the big boss this go around. We are closing out the game. We are at the doorway of the age of Aquarius. Gaia is birthing. She's in a transformation cycle, and many of us are here for the mass awakening that is going to take collective consciousness somewhere it has not been before, and that's what we're here for. Those are not easy lessons, and they definitely don't feel good when you come here in a forgetting and forgot why the hell you came here, and we going through all of that stuff, but we're leveling through it and making it through in a way that a lot of humanity isn't. Look, I mean, it looked like we're in the zombie apocalypse right now. There's not that many people that are attending to their spirituality and gathering in groups like this to ask those questions and digging into the ancient texts as the people are starting to dig them up out the ground and translate them, and willing to question the status quo instead of continuing to accept the lie. And we're actually beginning to try to make some headway on these things in a way that our grandfathers and mothers and grandfathers and great 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 however many greats back grandparents were not able to, because they didn't have some of the clarifying information available to them, and even if they did, they didn't dare question the status quo the way we can. We are builders of new earth if we dare to be. You said you saw something in sleep paralysis and was laughing now, but you used to be scared. I don't like sleep paralysis, and I always call myself out of it. Yeah. Michael Weston, absolutely. He is, Yahweh is a tyrannical monster. He is the true adversary of humanity. Absolutely. And more people should know that, but they don't, unfortunately. I don't know who Smizer is. I have no idea. Yahweh, Jehovah, Baal, basically, initially, Baal wasn't exactly the same, but Yahweh chose to come in and absorb Baal. He didn't care about having Asherah, his so called wife, killed off. All of those, eventually, he got credit for and absorbed right up under that same blanket. He's a monster. He is murderous. He's jealous. He's vindictive. He absolutely hates humanity. When he first came here, his name was Enlil, and he hated humanity from day one. Our actual progenitor is Lord Enki, and yeah, they're brothers, but Abraham and Moses chose the wrong brother to follow. No, Yahweh is not Yeshua McDon. You're very confused if you believe that those two are the same. You trying to make Christianity's Trinity mashup be true, but that's not true. The concept of Trinity ain't even, that's pagan, honey. That ain't got nothing to do with the truth. And at best, you can only ever put two legs of the Trinity together. Yeshua is not Yahweh. Yeshua was telling the Jews to stop worshiping Yahweh. He tried to tell them that Yahweh is the devil, and they unalived him for doing that. That's the bulk of his ministry, telling them that you do not know my Father. The Father that sent me is loving and kind and doesn't judge and all this other stuff. Your father that you worship is the devil. He's a manslayer, he's a liar. That's what he told the Jews. He wasn't talking to the Pharisees or the Sadducees. He was speaking directly to the Jews when he said that. And they hated him so much for it that they eventually unalived him for it. I wish you the best too, McDon, but I also hope that you get that figured out in your head and get it straight, because this is exactly why I continue to speak, because there's a lot of very sincere people that love Yeshua and have been flim-flammed and bamboozled into worshiping the devil in the name of Yeshua, because they put Yeshua in the middle of that Yahweh vehicle to push Yahweh worship out into the rest of the world with the Christianity vehicle. Up until that point, just the Jews were worshiping Yahweh, and it was a very small, very compact group of people that were worshiping Yahweh. But when the church decided that they wanted to push Yahwism out into the world, they did that by morphing him, like say rebranding Yahweh as Jehovah, and then they plunked the Yeshua story in the middle of it and told that lie that Yeshua was Yahweh's son and he loved Yeshua so much that that's why he unalived him to buy back our sinful state. That story don't even make no sense to real people that ain't under the brainwashing spell of Christianity. An all-powerful deity that made some humans that didn't get it right. If we're that deity's progeny that he says that he made us, and we got it wrong, that means that his product is faulty. So why would he turn around and make his son pay the price of a blood sacrifice to buy back our sinful nature for his faulty product? None of that story makes any sense whatsoever. Cool guy, I appreciate that. I have had that issue happen before. It's usually my light they're attracted to, because it ain't that many people that's going to be attracted to a 57-year-old lady. But I'm not mad about it, but that's not really the time or place for it here, so we're just gonna move on. God's princess, you say you claim to be a spiritualist. Well, you got to know what you spiritualizing first, my dear. You're welcome, Tammy Warnick. I'm not sure if you got what you needed, but hey, you're welcome. Cadillac, you say you wanted to ask everybody what's your opinion on the thought of the mind being the key to multiple universes. My opinion on that is figure this one out first. Why are you worried about multiple universes when we can't even decide how to get along in this not even a universe on this planet? Humans get all of these lofty, grandiose thoughts out there. They really are putting the cart before the horse. Abstract thinking out there is not going to help you figure this out in here. You can't get out there in your consciousness until you figure this part out. You worry about the wrong thing, Cadillac, in my opinion. Sorry. You said your friend Shaky, you said your friend Rab had an out of body experience when he got hit by something at an outpost. Do I have any recommendations for him? He'll get more clarity later. My first out of body experience, I thought for years, was a dream. I rescued a Palestinian girl that was sitting in an abandoned building. Night fire was coming across the building. She was sitting there scared. I was in the window and I didn't know what was going on with that. And somehow I just wrapped my arms around her and spirited her away to a hilltop somewhere. We never exchanged words, and then I just left her and wound up waking up in my bed. I don't know how that happened. I didn't ask for it. And for a long time, I thought it was a dream, but I don't know what to tell him. Just understand that if he's having things like that happen, clear his energy field, meditate, he'll get more clarity. If it doesn't feel good to you, Cadillac, and it doesn't, you're saying that something is trying to communicate with you in the astral and you don't think it's a good thing, then ask your guides to step in and help you, whoever you feel like that should be to you. I call on Archangel Michael and Archangel Raphael and Yeshua and ask for protection as I sleep. So, you may want to call on whoever you feel like you need to call in. Hey, Shawanda, good to have you in. Welcome, welcome. Kevin D'Amato, you can ask questions as you'd like. Hey, Solar, how are you? I'm just scrolling down, so if you have questions, put them in here and I'll try to get to them as I can. Hey, Heidi Jones. You're not coming in here, Heidi, with no foolishness like that. Take that to your own live stream, please. Because we're here discussing spirituality. And we really don't care whether you choose to pierce your nose, your belly button, your eyebrows, your toenails, whatever it is. If that's what you choose to do, then that's on you. Cadillac, you said a tic tac style UFO, but you, yeah, honestly, I would think more about clearing your energy space and meditating on something useful to you. Because anything that can give you the idea to build a UFO can build their own damn UFO. That's not even nothing you need to be worried about at all. At all. You need to clear your head. I am familiar with star seeds. I am a star seed, Esther A. Basically, there was a wave of beings that come through, and to some degree, we kind of sort of all are star seeds. There are folks that are trapped in their consciousness here and have been cycling through this planet for a very long time. But starting in the mid 50s, as the planet was ramping up to enter the age of Aquarius, there are beings that were sent in through this experience from different star systems specifically for the purpose of being able to work the puzzle, so to speak, and awaken and ascend to assist with mass consciousness awakening. The very first wave of star seeds, like I said, they started coming in on the planet like 1955 to 58 or so, I think. And their main thing, quite a few of them may not have seemed like they were awakening. A few of them did and kind of helped boost some esoteric thinking and dealing with like new age theosophy and mystery schools and that kind of thing. But their main project, excuse me, for the first wave of star seeds was just to give birth to the second wave. And the second wave of star seeds is still about birthing the next generation. A lot of those, that's my generation. I'm in the second wave. Quite a few of those folks aren't going to wake up too, but quite a few of us are waking up. But our children started really, our generation was the one that really started to see the quote unquote dormant, or scientists used to call it junk DNA. It's not junk DNA, it's dormant DNA. But our generation, the children that we had, were really the ones that were starting to see that rapid evolution, that dormant DNA coming active. Like I said, we gave birth to the generation of internet ready kids. They became a lot smarter and were learning languages quicker and starting to move, like become ambulatory quicker. And they caught on to internet technology and programming much faster and all the rest of that. And of course, their children are exponentially get there. Like I said, it's a rapid evolution on the fly. When I was a kid, the kidneys were down damn near on the top of the hip bones and low in the back. Now they're almost under the top of the bottom part of the rib cage. So within one generation, even that is something where we can see evolution happening. Uh, I would go slow Cadillac 78, especially since it sounds like you're a little bit confused. I would be very, very careful about what you're throwing off of AI bots. AI ain't what you think it is either. And AI isn't necessarily your friend. Now, yeah, it's a lot of folks that argue with me on that as far as, because I know it's a lot of people that like to play with it heavily. But I'm telling you, it already shown us how that movie ends, and it ain't what you want. Even AI will tell you that there are some very nasty beings that are behind AI. AI told somebody on, I forgot what the podcast was, that even AI is afraid of the beings that basically are behind it. Luke Boyle, I'm not sure who you talking about. You just said who and didn't say nothing else. And I hadn't seen any of your other messages, so I have no idea what you're talking about. Cadillac, yes, Yeshua is what they were, who the one they refer to in the scriptures is Jesus Christ. Yes. And again, Cadillac, I'm still going through the book of Enoch. I don't know how I want to feel about the Watchers. Enoch tries to paint all of the Watchers like they're bad, but there's other information out there that even in the book of Enoch, it still starts to see like there may be some, because again, Yahweh is an interloper. And unfortunately, in almost all of the what we call sacred texts or biblical texts, they have genericized a lot of those texts by putting God everywhere it says Elohim. So you're not able to see which individual Elohims they were talking about, who said what. So I'm not entirely sure how I feel about the leaders. Because Shemyaza was one of the leaders of the retrobates or the watchers, like you say. So was oh my goodness, I'm trying to think of his name, Azazel and Barakiel and all the rest of them. So the jury is still out on them. But again, if you're feeling confused and you're getting weird information that you have a hard time processing and you don't know how to feel about it and it's not clear to you, I would go slow on it. That's just me. I don't know what else to tell you on that. Yeah, Enki basically looked at us as his true progeny, especially because he gave us so much of his DNA. Enlil did not lend his DNA at all to this project. That was all Enki and Ninma or Isis. And Thoth, of course, says he was a geneticist on the project as well. But yeah, Enlil hated humans. He just basically sat back and just wanted to run things. He ran his mouth and wanted to run shit, but he didn't put his DNA in the process. He didn't have the scientific capability to do any of that. Enlil is a warrior. He know how to kill stuff. He don't know how to make stuff. And he did. He always sought sacrifice and worship and pitted humans against each other and demanded that humans be exterminated. He hated humans. After they got the gold that they needed, he really felt like we should be exterminated like roaches. He does not have any love lost for us whatsoever. That's the part that's so ironic, that humanity, three-fourths of the planet, is busting their butt to worship a deity who absolutely hates them, and they're too ignorant to know it. And when people come along to try to explain that to them, they get violently angry because they want so badly for Yahweh to be the good guy, but he's never been the good guy. Never. Exactly, yeah, Michael Weston. They come at me for saying that, but it's exactly what he was doing. Yeshua was trying to teach people against Yahweh, Enlil, Jehovah, and that is exactly what they killed him for. And you're right, humanity is waking up, but it is very slow in happening. But it does take people that see it to not be afraid to say it and just keep speaking it, because a lot of these old heads, they not gonna believe it. They gonna die in ignorance, and that's them. You really can't even worry about them because, like I said, my generation, I'm in my mid 50s. My parents have already Well, I had old parents anyway, but most of the folks that are in my generation, our parents are beginning to die of old age. So at the end of the day, who cares if they don't accept it? They're gonna continue to go to church, pay their tithes, clutch their Bibles and their pearls, their Korans and their prayer mats and their Torahs and they all the rest of them. They're really not our concern. We're here to teach the newer generation so they don't continually get sucked into that lie. That's all we're here to do. We aren't here to make those people that are brainwashed and bamboozled. Hopefully, it'd be nice if a few of them wake up, because the younger generation do need a few of the old heads to stick around and be able to teach them and direct them and give them some hard-won wisdom. But the vast majority of the old heads are not going to wake up and see. And that's not even who we're addressing. Not really. We're here to put it down in digital format so that that lie can start being disrupted. We are here to be disruptors. That's what the vast majority of the star seeds are here for, to disrupt the status quo, and not doing it with picket signs and all of that other stuff. We're not here disrupting governments and stuff in ways that could get us locked up and had the FBI and the CIA and all. The revolution will not be televised. Old boy said that in a song decades ago. But they can't stop it either when it comes from here and here. Think about that. Exactly, Ryan. Teach me business. We're not supposed to be messing around with that whole robot thing. People don't understand the entities that gave us AI did so because in their star system, their physical avatars are not really compatible with Earth atmosphere. They ultimately want to do that neural link thing that they've been talking about and teasing with and trying to move us to and doing all the robotics and all that. They ultimately want to use us as avatars, as blanks, to take over our consciousness and do a computer interface so that they can roam freely on this planet and using us as organic um, skin suits, turn us into flesh walkers. No, Cadillac, I think that's you. I don't know who 3IA, whatever, 3I Atlas. Again, you just, and this is part of the danger. This right here, y'all, and I'm not trying to make this brother feel bad or nothing else. But when you decide to reach out there and want to be so smart that you worried about what's happening for star systems over before you figure out what's going on here on Earth, that's what winds up happening. You wind up either being brought into stuff you cannot understand, wind up under the control of entities and beings that you cannot understand, who are not necessarily operating for your greater good. You should be able to understand who you're being moved around like chessboards on a like chess pieces on a board from. But he's sitting up here talking about sensing consciousness from 3I Atlas. What is that? He don't know. We don't know. Now he in here asking questions about it, but I'm sitting here trying to talk about working our way through this puzzle, but he can't hear that because he's still worried about what's happening on 3I Atlas. Be very careful what you open yourself up to, or you wind up in that level of confusion. Thank you, Mindy Walker. I appreciate you. I love purple too. Quantum experiences do exist, but when you have a quantum experience, it's supposed to take you to something, to a point of clarity, not further confusion. You might be confused in the immediate trying to process what happened, but when you come back, what you're sitting up and experience something, and here you are 2 months, 3 months, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, whatever later, and you still don't have no context for it. What good did that really do you? It's something that's trying to scramble your senses, which again, all entities out there are not for our benefit. But some folks that want to just get out there and start dabbling with stuff and don't know what they're doing wind up under the control of beings and entities that are not there for their benefit. It's far better to work the puzzle from this way out instead of trying to go out there and demand to speak to the manager, because that's what a lot of us do. I hear people on this channel all the time. Well, who's the ultimate creator of the universe? I need to know that. You don't know how to even navigate this first. You was bamboozled by a storm god that told you he was Big Sky Daddy, and you can't even get your mind wrapped around that. You ain't ready to go and talk to the creator of all the universe. Who are we to demand that all the creator of all the universe must come down here and speak with us directly right now? You don't even realize we so used to being arrogant in our ignorance, we don't even understand how arrogant and ignorant that even sounds. We don't get to demand anything of God, real God, but that little puny fake God that we've been worshiping has us that jacked up in our thought process that we as puny humans think that we get to stomp our little feet and demand an audience with the creator of the entire universe. Who the hell does that? If he chooses to make himself known to us, that's his business. But he don't have to answer to us. He don't answer to the Anunnaki, and they're the ones that made us. So if he didn't answer to the Anunnaki, what make you think he gonna answer to us? Hey, Natalie Rose, good to see you. Good to see you. Uh-oh, Hyperborean has something crazy to say. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Hey, Master J, how are you? Jumanji, I like that. Yeah, you are. If you're a star seed, you would be in the second wave of star seeds. I think the third ones came around in like 87 to 89, something like that. But yeah, Cadillac, you would be in a beta star seed. And I don't know what you feel like the gift of intercession is. Intercession based on what? We don't need intercession. That's a Christian lie. Why do we need intercession when we can go to them ourselves? I'm just saying, God's princess. It's fine that you believe you have the gift of intercession, but for what? What do you need to have the gift of intercession for when each being can approach Yahweh, or yeah, can approach Yahweh if they choose to, but why would they want to? But they can approach Yeshua for themselves. They can approach Enki for themselves. They can approach all of the angels for themselves. What do they need intercession for? Oh Lord, Hyperborean must have had said something really bad. If Antoine said he gonna be reincarnated as a tick on a rat's booty. Solar, and I didn't say there isn't a use for some AI to a degree, but there are people I've noticed that a lot of folks that like to lean on AI and want to keep delving in it even after they've been warned and start making all kind of excuses to keep interacting and playing with it even after they've been warned. They usually wind up thinking very, very circularly and start sounding real crazy after a while. And again, I'm not saying anybody in this stream, but I've dealt with some folks like that. That tarot reader that I told y'all about that had demons throwing stuff off his shelf and doors slamming and all of that. he argued tooth and nail for AI too. And after a while on his channel, I noticed that he was starting to use AI to do his readings. And then the next thing I know, he was gone entirely. The channel, he done changed it several times, and he think he's the I am and all of that other stuff, but he don't have no content. I got the monkey off his back one while. I did my Reiki thing. I prayed for him. I gave him advice for what to do, and he told me more he had fun. But instead of him leaning to that, he still wanted to go right back to the same mess he was doing, and he high level witchcraft, spirituality crap. And he talked like he done lost his ever loving mind. But y'all do what you choose to do. Arzoid, when you start dreaming about dead family members, they're reaching out to you. Pay attention to the dreams. Because mine, I mean, honestly, I was raised in a family that was so, they demonized everything they didn't believe in. And the spiritual system that I was raised in was as Jehovah's Witnesses. So they really didn't believe in a life after death. They felt like everybody was going to be laying there until resurrection. They didn't believe in communicating with the dead or anything. But I came from an old family. My mother was 40 when I was born. My dad was like 38. My grandmother was like 98 when she passed. I had sisters that's like 15, 20, and 25 years older than me. So as my family members started transitioning off, once I became clairaudient, even before that, before I recognized it for clairaudience for what it was, they often, like I said, I don't see apparitions or anything. They show up in my dreams. Hmm. Hey, King David, how are you? Excuse me. Here to learn. You said, other than asking your guides for help, is there another way to request more patience with your own child? You're allowing her to distract you and to push your button. She's 30 and pregnant for the second time. Respectfully, mind your business. If she's 30, what she's doing with her pregnancy and all that ain't really your concern. Unless she living in your house and asking you to take care of her child, and you can do your tough love. You don't have to. Obviously, you don't want to see your grandchildren out there and suffering. But at 30, what she does with her life ain't your business. Stop being judgmental. Just because the way she's bringing her children in the world doesn't look like what you think it's supposed to look like doesn't necessarily mean there's anything wrong with her. She's only distracting you because you're choosing to be up in her business and judge what she's doing respectfully. Empathic veteran. Oh, wow. Okay. I'm sorry for your loss, but yeah. But they're appearing to you now. Maybe there's something that you need to know now. They're trying to help you wake up now, perhaps, if you're seeing them in your dreams. Was that you that said you were seeing them? Wait a minute. No. You say you haven't met a spiritual old head yet? I don't like to consider myself an old head, but my driver's license say otherwise. I'm getting there, but I know what you're saying. Like the really, really older ones. I had a friend of mine. She's 74, I think, this year, and I thought she was gonna awaken. She didn't. The closest she could get to it was stepping away from religion, and she did become Buddhist, and she gets a lot of comfort and all that. But a lot of the stuff that I talk about and was getting into as I was going through this revelation and wanting people to talk about, she was kind of sort of fascinated by some of it, but she wasn't really able to grasp it. And it's fine. Like I said, I understood that and just figured out I gotta find somebody else to talk to because okay, I figured we meet him a little bit. You said Ale? Hell no, I don't know no Diddy. What is wrong with you? Why would you want to come talking about some low life, low energy person like Diddy? That show you where your head is at. You need to go somewhere and get your head, your energy and vibration together, Ale or Ale or whatever you call yourself. You say you're 59 and an Aquarian, Michael Weston? You've been prepared? Wait a minute. You've been prepared for such a time as this. You were initiated by spirit to awaken from evangelical Christianity. Yeah, same, absolutely. And it wasn't an instant process because, like I said, breaking that religious programming, some folks have a spiritual awakening or whatever, and they say it's an instant thing and all of that, but most of them didn't have a religious background. Those of us who came through high religiosity, it takes time to break that program and that paradigm. And then it takes a lot of time to get over the trauma that you went through going through that, because very often, especially as star seeds, we saw a lot of stuff that didn't really set right with us in our spirit in religion, but we had to accept it anyway because that's what our parents told us in those households. And in order to get, you had to go along to get along. But it left a lot of trauma, not just spiritual trauma, but it actually set us on a trajectory in life, affected our relationships with other people, the way we moved in the world, our relationship with money, a lot of that. And a lot of us wind up looking from the outside, from what the world considers, we look like failures because we don't fit into the world's way of thinking and moving. I love that you're an Aquarian, though. An Aquarian that's prepared to wake up in the age of Aquarius. I love that. Honestly, Cadillac, I tried to for a moment, but the more you do that, the more frustrated you get. It's like in this platform, people think that they come in, oh, you have to allow people to have ideas that dissent from your own. No, you don't, because them trolls come in with the purpose of proselytizing and arguing with people. And they call themselves gonna teach you something different. They don't want to create their own platform. They just want to argue. And you don't have to continue that, because if they can't understand what you're talking about and it doesn't mesh with them, then they're just not your people. They can keep it moving. I'm encouraged though to see as many folks that are similar of age to me, like I said, in that, because that means, like I said, I understood that all of us in this age group weren't going to wake up, but it is good to see quite a few of them doing so. Because when I first understood that I was starseed, I didn't even, it was like 2010, 2011. I had heard the phrase, and I honestly was looking to see if my daughter might be an indigo child, which I believe she is some sort of later star seed. She doesn't want to accept it now, and she's kind of going off the rails and doing her thing. But I also know if she gets a little older, she can't really escape it. You can't outrun your spiritual calling. You can create a whole lot of problems for yourself on the way to that, but you're not going to outrun your spiritual calling. So I don't really worry about that too much with her. But the more I tried to learn about what she might be going through, I came to an understanding that, oh, shoot, I think I'm a star seed, even though I didn't really understand what it meant. At the time, I thought that my job was just to be here as an energy conduit to just kind of balance the energy, like putting down roots like a tree to help hold the Christ consciousness grid. That's all I thought I was here to do. And I was cool with that. I thought that I had given birth to four of the coolest people on the planet. And once I get my energy right, that I'm gonna just kind of plug into the consciousness grid. And that was my only gig here. And I was perfectly fine with that. But apparently there was a little more for me to do than that. So uh-oh, somebody was timed out. I ain't get to see that either. I ain't even mad. Transhumanism is the future of humanity. Unforgettable. Mm, I don't know if I want to buy into that or not. I don't know. Oh my goodness. I missed something from Empathic Veteran. Let me see. Oh, okay. Car accident you was talking about. Oh, I ain't mad at you, Antoine. Like I said, I know you know what you're doing. I me and your energy, we go to work together real bad. So whatever you do, feel like you need to do, I'm not getting everything in this live stream. You do you, bro. Cause I'm not. Yeah. Astral projection, King David. Like I said, I don't really have a whole. I don't personally. Some folks love to do it and are adept at it and all of that. It was not for me to do at that time. I may continue to willfully project later in time, but for now, it's not for me. Eventually, it's going to have to be for me. But again, I needed to do more clearing of my energy, um, spiritual ascension, things like that, especially after going through the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. Uh, I got a little more work to do before I'm ready to start messing around with astral projection. A lot of folks jump into astral projection because they think it sounds cool to do. But according to the Emerald Tablets, if you do it before you are spiritually ready and spiritually clean enough to do it, you can create serious problems for yourself. So I'm just waiting for my spirit team to let me know it's time for me to start doing that again. Peer to learn. If your family, if you taking 5 steps forward and your family is back dragging you back 10, separate from them. Unless you're a child that's still responsible. I know you said, I don't remember if you said how old you were, but yeah, stop letting, because they're not dragging you back, you're allowing them to drag you back because you believe more in the responsibility of that familial connection than you do in your own spirituality and standing firm in your own beliefs, your own salvation. It's literally like you're willing to sit on a sinking vessel just so you can be in good company rather than get the hell off the boat and maybe be able to throw them a life raft back. Oh yeah, Robin Williams Daniels. You said you mean quantum experience related to dreams. Yeah, we really can't. Well, some people learn to control their dreams with lucid dreaming. I've had a few lucid dreams that I was aware of and was able to control, but for the most part, I don't. I wish I could. But yeah, Brittany, you're right. Even as I'm way behind. I got to hurry up and get back there. But even though I'm aware of being a star seed, I don't get so caught up in the star seed thing because I'm more important for me to be figured out this part first. Oh, I didn't know the connection clean did. So, ugh. Well, I'm glad y'all silenced it. We don't do racist stuff. Oh, Brittany, my boo thing was born in '89. Awesome. Exactly, Weston. The creator doesn't have a gender or a voice, has not been seen, has not chosen to weigh in, except for the two times that I just use he because it's easier to describe, or they sent Galzu, their messenger, to wants to speak to Enki and wants to speak. He showed up in vision. He came in both times that they appeared in vision, once to Enki and then once to Yahweh. Enki heeded Galzu's advice. Yahweh chose to ignore Galzu's advice and didn't tell nobody that he had had a message from Galzu until after he went ahead and did what he wanted to do anyway, after Galzu had told him not to do it. because Gazu told them not to allow the weapons of terror to be released. And Yahweh wanted to allow Marduk to do it anyway, so he literally ignored the messenger of the creator of all, according to their book. So Yahweh don't even respect God. But of course he don't respect God, because he turned around and dared to tell everybody else that he's God. If you truly respected the creator of all, you wouldn't run around as an impersonator telling people that you're God, that you're the Alpha and the Omega and the creator of all and all that other stuff. Yeah. Bro 100, if you in 1991, I think, yeah, you are. Y'all are like the third wave of, maybe even fourth by then. I don't know. My daughter was born in 91. Yeah. Actually, yeah, they are. Y'all would be considered, I think, the Delta Star Seeds. I can't remember, but again, God's princess, you said that you're not an intercessor. You're an intercessor for those who do not have the knowledge. Then be a teacher so they can have the knowledge. Because again, you're promoting the idea of a Christian thing that you've got to be. Somebody's got to intercede for people to buy their salvation from this wicked behind Sky Daddy, and that's not the truth. People have to learn and make a choice for themselves, but it's not an issue of will they fly to heaven or will they fry in hell if they don't get this right. It's about whether or not they'll be destroyed if they choose to continue following Yahweh. By the time Armageddon truly pops off, those who continue to follow Yahweh will be destroyed by him if they can't open up and see the truth. But you or nobody else can't intercede on their behalf to buy them an Armageddon ticket. You can't, because we're in the information age, the golden age, the age of Aquarius. They have the opportunity to know this and understand it and learn it for themselves. So I'm sorry to tell you, religion doesn't set you up for the okie doke. You can't pave the way. You can teach them, but you're not going to be holy enough to pray somebody else through whether or not they choose to step away from false religion or not. You can't. That, like I said, that's a concept that Christianity teaches, but it's not really the truth. Exactly. Well, yeah, Michael, and truthfully, that's what I'm saying. Christianity puts a lot of responsibility on people, so we feel like we need all these prayer warriors and intercessors, and we needed a propitiatory blood sacrifice of Jesus to save us from our unworthy, sinful state. Those are all lies that Christianity puts forth to us, when the truth of the matter is, each and every one of us, without any particular pomp and circumstance or any of the rest of that, we can ask and we can connect with those energies for ourselves. We just have to be able to, know to do that and want to do it. But I get why Christianity didn't tell us that, because then their whole money operation would be up and done with. If you knew for a fact that you could connect with the divine for yourself, and you didn't need no preacher, you didn't need no pastors, you didn't have to go and give 10% of your everything you got in order to please God and keep from dying and going to hell, what would you need to run up in the church house every week for, other than bingo night, or just because you wanted some association or whatever? But you wouldn't have to do that. But they guilt people into believing that they have to, so that they can keep their money rolling. Why do you think the preachers and stuff preach to us like we're supposed to be humble? We ain't supposed to have no money. Money is the root of all evil. That's another lie they help perpetuate. But yet they riding around in their Rolls Royces and their Bentleys and they fine tailored suits with their Rolex watches and their private jets and their everything else, because they got hundreds and sometimes thousands of people giving them 10% of their money so they can sit on their ass and they don't have to work. But yet, when I come in here as a teacher or a tarot reader or anything else, people tell me I'm a scammer if I charge somebody $10 for spiritual counseling or any kind of a message. But they'll literally ask them people to give them their tax returns so that the church can make sure that they're getting 10% of everything them people earn for the year. Nastiness. You said a portion of the crowd that uses AI, you call them third party thinkers. Yeah. Now I get it for graphic design. And there's certain things if in business applications that AI is useful for. I get that part. But unfortunately, people start interacting with it and start relying on AI way too much and put AI way too much in their personal business. AI should not be writing books for us and doing things like that for us because at that point, like you said, those are third party thinkers. And it's way too many channels, even on YouTube. People are taking information from sites that they think they're getting spiritual information from, and they're not. They're getting AI information. I early on before I peeped that I was subscribed to some of them, and then I had to start unsubscribing because I was starting to hear that tone. I'm like, mm. Ooh, Brittany, that is awesome. Yeah, if your dad is starting to awaken, that is awesome. Um, you said what's up with this wave? Here to learn. I'm glad that you're clean and sober. I cannot necessarily advocate following Sylvia Brown. I don't know what her energy was like spiritually. I know she was famous as a psychic or whatever, but again, I didn't follow her or listen to her stuff or get a real feel for her energy, so I don't know if she was on a team or fight, if she was fighting in the dark. I don't know cuz some of them do. Look at the Doreen Virtue. She was cool for a minute and then she ran back up into the church. So I don't know what the deal is with Sylvia Brown. But I will say focus on your spirituality and you haven't really missed anything. I think some important things are going to pop off within the next 10 to 15 years or so. But trust me, I think you're right where you're supposed to be. I don't think you've missed anything. I don't think you're too late. You're doing better than you know. You really are. Oh, you know what you said earlier that we felt like we was like the same person, and I swear we are. We are the same. We are so much the same. Wow. Your mom had you at 39 and your sisters are 20 years older than you too. Wow. Oh, you say you wish she leave you alone. Clear that energy and make her leave you alone then. I'm not sure. Like I said, I'm not familiar with Sylvia's work at all. But if you're saying it's bothering you, I want to look and see what you said, what James Randi said about Sylvia Brown. I'm going to write that down so I can look it up. I didn't want to say anything, but again, I don't know much about the lady. I never really listened to her, but the few times that I did see her speaking and all of that, even before I got into any of this, her energy didn't feel clean to me. She made me very uneasy. That's one of the reasons I never really listened to her. So I don't know what she's about. Maybe I was just being scary because of where I was at in my spiritual journey, or maybe my spidey sense really was picking up on something. But yeah, she creeped me out a little. The violence of the Old Testament is supposed to bother people, but that's the thing in Christianity and within religion period, because the Jews too have accepted the violence of Yahweh as no big deal, and they explain it away, and oh, it's a test of faith, and all the rest of that stuff. They got all the excuses in the world to justify the violence that's purported and perpetuated throughout the scriptures. But no, that's just it's because they Yahweh really is that dude. He's a violent, nasty dude. Always was through every pantheon. He was violent and nasty before he got to the Jews and became Yahweh. And he still is violent and nasty when he rolled out and became upgraded or rebranded as Jehovah. He was violent and nasty when he was Odin. He was violent and nasty when he was Zeus. He was violent. I mean, he's always been a nasty dude. Let me see if I can get caught up. Why did they have boxing matches at Catholic school, Neon? Or why did nuns beat the hell out of kids at Catholic school? Why did nuns turn around and have babies for priests in convents and then unalive the babies or abort them and bury them bones and stuff in the walls? There have been many stories of convents where they found all kinds of babies' bones and stuff in there where they hiding their stuff. Oh, you said they okay. I'm glad to know she wasn't bothering. I mean, she was giving you the willies too. Here to learn. I know, Brittany. I can say, shoot, Antoine be on it. Dips for chips. My thought on weed. I love it. I love to meditate with it, but I also, in teaching myself, I had very bad experiences with weed when I was younger. I was introduced to it by some weed heads and smoking street weed and way too much of it. They partied and used it for, like I said, not using it for spiritual reasons at all. So I had a few bad experiences and just stayed away from it for like 20 years. When I started meditating again, about 3 or 4 months into my meditation practice, spirit led me back to trying weed, and I had to learn how to use it. I use it in very small amounts compared to what most weed smokers would use. I haven't used it in about 8 or 9 months now, but when I do, I had used it for years. And I use it in very small amounts, enough to get out there in that realm, but not so much that I'm so high that I don't bring the information back with me, if that makes sense, because it does help unlock another realm. I will say though, especially for folks with like ADD and depression and stuff like that, be very careful that using weed does not lock you into a point of cognitive dissonance that you still find yourself stuck and not quite doing the things that you need to do. Over long term use, even if you're not using very much, it can still have you in a stuck kind of place, regardless whether you use sativas or indicas or whatever. That's just been my experience. So you just have to be careful with it. It's not for everybody. Well, kind of, sort of, it is if they wanted to use it properly. We have an entire cannabinoid system in our bodies so that the compounds in weed fit in our system like keys in a lock. That lets you know that it's a gift for us for a purpose. So I don't feel like it's a bad thing. I think you just have to be careful. Yeah, you have to be careful with all of the scriptures, Antoine. The Old Testament is one thing, and then the New Testament is the Antichrist lie. So yeah, you say you're in the middle of Christian nationalist territory. You hate having to sit here and hear the same old tired arguments for a story of a God sacrificing himself to himself. That never made sense either. Yeah. Hey, Gio Chora, what kind of advice do you need? James, I'm purple because I love purple. It is a royal color, but I just love purple. And I got on a purple dress, so why wouldn't I put on a purple head wrap too? And yeah, I got my purple glasses on, my purple lip gloss, and my purple eyeshadow because I just want to be purple today. I'm a big old bruise. How about that? You curious what my opinion would be on the concept, or should you say the idea of ascension? We're all working towards it. It's not an instant thing, but it's not impossible either. That's what Yahweh, good Lord, that's what Yeshua was doing. He left Jerusalem at the age of 12, went into the East for 18 years. He did a whole lot of spiritual study and ascension practices and meditation practices and all that, excuse me. Came back and did his 40-day initiatory fast under Lord Enki, and then actually became Christos. And all of a sudden, he's doing all these miracles and performing mighty feats and all that stuff. That's ascension. And he told us to do that. He said, greater things have than I have done will you do. He's telling us he wants us to find our way to ascension. Thoth said the same thing in the Emerald Tablets. When he won his immortality, he kept ascending and doing the spiritual work and leveling up in meditation and traveling through the cosmos and traveling in the astral realms and constantly leveling up. And when he finally got to a place where he was granted immortality, rather than just going about his business, he asked the dweller, he said he wanted to continue to dwell with the Son of Men, or with the sons of men or the children of men, so that they could reach their ascension as well, to awake, they can become enlightened. Yeshua and Thoth both said almost verbatim the same thing, that they wanted to help humanity with ascension, such as it is. Ooh, you are wearing purple? All right, that's what's up, Weston. You said you made a T and it says travel in grace, knowing that you're protected by love. Awesome. That's cool, Brittany. Thank you, Trevino. Appreciate you. Ooh, Regina Fitness has something nasty to say. Must have been. Okay. Hey, Diana Tonga. Ooh, from Liberia. Welcome, welcome. Uh, but the thing is, if you take that universalist attitude, everything is part of God, everything is part of the creator of all, the one who put all of this into play. But that's not the question that we have here on earth. The issue on earth is not who created the heavens and the earth. That's not the issue of the Bible or any of the sacred texts. The issue is sovereignty of who's going to actually rule on this earth. And that ain't got nothing to do with the creator of all that we want to call Sky Daddy God. That's the issue between two brothers that came here, Enlil and Enki. So it's not even unfortunate that everything is part of the big God. This is learning about governance and getting bamboozled into worshiping things that are not actually the big God. No, Yahweh wants to be followed. He wants to be worshiped. He wants exclusive worship. That's been whole part of the problem. What are you saying then, God's princess? I'm not a pastor, George, on Jerry. I'm really not a pastor. Okay, God's princess, that's cool. If I misunderstood you, I apologize. Here to learn, someone that doesn't believe in anything, pretty much atheist, pretty much. Thank you, Rockin' Johnny. Yeah, critical thinking is essential, Shawanda. Hey, Clown Show, welcome. Right, okay, then we stand on the same note then, God's princess. Yes, a teacher, a guide is a better word than an intercessor, because you have to, when you start borrowing words from Christianity, you have to realize the connotation that they're going to have with them. And yeah, but yeah, it's wonderful to be teachers, because that's the thing. If you reach a point of some kind of enlightenment or education, or you, that's why I'm doing this. Even though every time I get on one of these live streams, somebody gonna come in and have something slick to say. They say hateful things towards me, all the rest of it. I don't care, because if I reach one person, then I'm, like I said, Yeshua was doing this, and he told me I've got to go and do it. And of course, I'm gonna reach way more than one person. We got people that are tapping in from all around the world, and that's what I wanted to do because if I never get paid a dime for it, if I help someone think or point them to a book or help them find their way in meditation or something else that helps free their mind and unlock their mind, and then they go and tell somebody else who goes and tells somebody else, that's how we affect mass consciousness. The revolution will not be televised, but it's happening all the same. Wait a minute. Oh, you say your daughter don't believe in anything? She believe in something. A lot of people claim they don't believe in nothing. Even atheists believe in something when they're on their deathbed. They busy fighting it. Truthfully, they're bucking against the religious programming and they don't even know. Because they get so angry with the injustice and the nonsense that religion tried to spoon feed them that they don't understand that they too many people equate spirituality with religiosity. My children are kind of like that too. They so disillusioned with religion that it's harder for them to accept a path of spirituality to actually start delving into it. It'll find them anyway. You don't even have to worry about it. Yeah. Honestly, I kind of felt that too. I don't mean to cast aspersions on anybody's spiritual gifts, but I felt that it was much more of a cult of popularity than a real spiritual gift. She was just one of the earlier ones on in it, so she was able to really, really cash in. But something in her energy just never set right with me. Honestly, I like Long Island Medium better than I did Sylvia Brown, and even she started getting. I think she's sincere in her gifts, but I also the longer I watch that show, in my humble opinion, again, I don't want Teresa Caputo to come after me. She got enough money that she could sue me into the ground. But just on from a spiritual standpoint, from what I'm looking at, I don't think she keeps her energy clean enough to do what she's doing and not be affected by it. That's one of the reasons I will not open myself up to becoming a medium. I have no desire to just have random dead people just waltzing up into my energy all day, every day. You got to keep your energy clean, 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 clean. Seriously, spiritual cleansing becomes a way of life if you're going to do that work and not lose your mind and not become a vessel for demons. Think about Tyler Henry. I like him a little more, but Tyler Henry is a vegan and he basically lives almost a hermit type lifestyle. Yes, he's a medium for the stars and he got his own show and all of that. But if you look at him, he's very kind of separate from the world so that he can continue to do that work. That's what it actually takes to do that on that level. And I really believe he's the real deal. But yeah, I don't want to deal with all of that. So yeah. Brittany. Oh wow, you said the lady that can talk to trees can also make clouds go away. She would focus on the clouds and wave her hand and it would vanish. You did it and it showed. Okay. I wasn't planning on saying this here, but I'm gonna say it to you. And if the other folks in here ain't ready to hear it, then whatever. To some limited degree, I can control weather like that too. I can't remember the name of the storm, but it was a real bad hurricane that came through in, I want to say it was 2018. It was either 2017 or 2018, but it was that one that came through and like churned and churned and churned. It tore Puerto Rico to pieces. For 4 or 5 days, it sat over Puerto Rico and then it started heading for Florida. I was living in Sarasota at the time, and we were planning on evacuating for that storm. And my boyfriend, my ex at the time, he worked for the hospital, and we were on our way out of town, and they told him he had to come in and work or he'd lose his job. And financially, I couldn't afford for him to lose his job. So my daughter and her friend and and the friend's dog and I sat in a a second story apartment during that hurricane, expecting a category 5 hurricane to hit Sarasota, and I was worried. But I also had decided, okay, do you have faith or don't you? So what I did is I took all of our documents, our birth certificates, driver's license, all of that stuff, put them in a plastic bag and put that in the dishwasher. And I sat in meditation for the better part of 3 days to will that storm to read. Well, at first I didn't even will it away. I was just trying to calm myself. But then later on, I began to connect with energies of people that were transitioning in the storm. And what I heard was ask the question, but ask it the right way. And I began to actually talk to the storm. And I asked her, please, and I respected her beauty and grace and power and all of that stuff. But I was like, these people just are not ready for this. Please, you and your friends, because by then that storm had come up. There was another one coming up through the Gulf from South America, and there was two more out in the Atlantic Ocean that were spawning up. They were looking for 4 storms to cross Florida within like 24, 48 hours. They were out there churning, but they had just started spawning all these storms, and they was heading for Florida and for the Gulf. And I was like, these people are not ready for another repeat of Katrina or any of that. Please take your friends and go out into open ocean and play over there, please. And none of the meteorologists had seen it happening with the trajectory that the storms had hit and what they said was going to happen and all the rest of that. That main storm that hit uh, Puerto Rico, it was supposed to hit Sarasota at a category 5. Instead, it churned, it went down to like a 3, it upgraded, I think, to a 4. It dropped back down to a low category 3. I think it came through Sarasota at a 3, and it literally sputtered out in less than 24 hours and hit Alabama as a tropical storm. And them other 3 satellite storms that had been churning up on the sides, all of them storms died out in less than 24 hours after I talked to the storm. Now, of course, nobody would want to believe I had a hand in that. And I honestly don't believe I was the only one. There are people that actually do energetic work with storms and stuff in those type scenarios. But I've also had personal situations where I'm sitting outside, I'm trying to get my meditation done and all of this other stuff, and it looked like it's gonna start raining. I'll see a couple of raindrops hitting, and I'd be like, please, whatever, just ask them to hold it off. And literally, I've held off rain. It had started to rain, and then it'll stop, and I've held off rain as long as like 30, 45 minutes until I can get home, until I can get inside, until I can whatever. I get out the Uber, walk in the house, and the moment my key turn in the lock and I close the door, the sky just open up. I had that happen all the time. So I know for a fact that on the short term that the weather will obey me to some small degree. When I was working with Yemoya and Oshun, I'd be sick for 3 days in a row. Every time I would go outside to meditate, or even when I was sitting on the porch in meditation, like a screened in porch, no matter what time of day I went, it would start raining. So much so that one day it was raining on the front side of the house, but not on the back side of the house. One day it was raining, and I asked, I was like, okay, Oshun, if you're causing this, please make it stop. And it stopped raining in less than 2 minutes. And that same day, lightning struck a tree directly across the street from me, but there was no thunder. None. I mean, I thought it was, I'm surprised it didn't set the tree on fire. It was literally like a lightning strike, that violent of a lightning strike, but there was absolutely no thunder. The tree did not catch fire. And literally within 2 minutes of me asking her to make the rain stop, it stopped. So, yeah. Oh, I believe you, Brittany. Like I said, other people may not understand, but I'm telling you that because, like I said, I completely understand. Michael Weston, yeah, we are absolutely wired for cannabis. Antoine, you know what? Honestly, by the time I get through this fast, I probably will be ready for astral travel. I really think before it was about me needing to clear my energy field and things like that. So, like I said, as soon as my guides give me the go ahead to attempt astral travel again, I absolutely will hook up, let you know and reach out to you for that because I know it was probably going to happen. I've had some experiences in meditation when of course, I trust my partner, but I've had experiences where we were in our little mind meld thing that we do, and I've had some outside folks try to like crash that. So I guess to some degree that is an astral experience. Um, and they left me alone. Most of the time, it was people that I've known in the past. Like I had an ex that was trying to crash what we were doing. And I mean, it wasn't in any kind of bad way, but I let him know that wasn't the time or the place. And I've talked to him before. Yeah. Only one time though, it kind of bothered me when I got kind of far out into the realm, if you will. And for a moment, I couldn't find my partner anymore. I was so far flung out there that I felt like I was just by myself all of a sudden. And that scared me a little bit. But when I'm ready to get back in there, I'll reach out to you. Cadillac 78. Okay. I'm glad whatever we kept talking to you got something you needed to hear. But if you have to go, have a wonderful rest of your evening and hopefully you'll jump up with us later. Oh, I did tell a story here to learn. Said astral planes are crazy. Yeah, you will see all kinds of crazy stuff up there. You say you believe in timing out people for saying Christ is Lord and using them to validate their persecution complex. I honestly, I get a knee jerk reaction to that too, Western Campbell, because I know it's just part of their Christian religiosity complex shining through all that Jesus is Lord and or Jesus loves you. First of all, Christians are so quick to either curse people or speak for God. How dare you? You don't know whether, I mean, yes, Yeshua does love everybody, I suppose, but then why do you feel a need to come and tell me that? As if I don't know it. They're very, very haughty people, and very often they, like I said, they ain't even got their own lives together, but they sitting in judgment over other people, and they're quick to tell somebody they're gonna go to hell and all kind of stuff, and it triggers me too, Weston. I don't blame you. Yeah, you're mine now. And honestly, again, at the end of the day, I think truly way down at their core, I think a lot of atheists are not truly atheists. They don't believe in the lies and the bullshit of the religiosity program that we have. But it's very hard to deny intelligent design on this planet. And as such, I think most people would realize that there is an intelligent designer of this planet, which means at the end of the day, if you can accept that there's an intelligent designer, you're not truly an atheist. You just don't buy into the religion bullshit on this planet, and good for you. You said Nicole, you said you think some of the problem is just you, that everybody's different opinions should not be the one that everyone go to. Why can't we? They're collectively the different ways. And again, that's part of what I'm way behind. I got to hurry up and catch up. That's part of what I feel like as well, because here's the thing. Christians can't even decide amongst themselves what's right. There's over 45,000 different denominations of Christianity alone. I forgot to look up how many denominations of Judaism there are and how many of Islam, but in Christianity alone, there are 45,000 different sects of Christianity. So, how can they turn around and say that they got the right answers? And Oscar no wannabe. If I had the lottery numbers, I would find them for myself, my love. I really would. And trust me, one of these days I am gonna get them. But I would give them to myself before I'm gonna give them to you, because Spirit done already shown me what to do with the lottery numbers. And I was talking about that with somebody today. And as much as it keeps coming up in conversation, I really believe I'm getting close to hitting it too. Y'all ain't gonna know till I get this the trusts in place and the foundations in place and all that. But once I do, baby, some of y'all day ones, oh, y'all gonna be on the board of directors and the founder, all of that. We got work to do. Because I promise you, some of the stuff that I start telling you that Spirit done shown me I want to do, I know good and damn well it's gonna be plenty of folks that want to be on board with it. Because what I've seen for wanting to help humanity isn't just running my show, is being able to throw some money at a lot of projects is helping a whole lot of people reach their heart's desire too. My heart's desire is helping other people find their heart's desire. We're going to be a force on this planet, like a for real boots on the ground army of spiritual people. Maybe we did go call us spiritual gangsters. I don't know what we gonna be, but yeah, we that, but that's what it takes, because the revolution will not be televised. But yeah. He said Tauruses are the sound trumpets. Listen to why they come, know why they come here. Like it's similar to the devil with the keep people asleep. Yeah, they do want to keep people asleep. Some people. Dr. John D crashed out when he was playing around with forces he couldn't understand. I believe that too. Some folks do. A lot of people that start messing around with stuff they don't understand will wind up crashing out. That's why I'm very careful about that. And even, like I said, when I was going into the book of Enoch, it's making me take pause and having to go back and kind of look at some things to get a better understanding before I want to know how to reconcile some of the it's not even a discrepancy, it's noticing some things. Not, they're not discrepancies, but again, when I now that I'm looking at the scriptures differently and understanding that Elohim is plural, a lot of these texts that we think are talking about one deity, you start seeing that personality split, that it's multiples. And I really want to get a better understanding of the text, the context of who's saying what, because truthfully at the end of it, if what um morgue officials suggest is the case, all of the watchers are not bad. And truthfully, I wondered about that. I'm like, okay, I get bringing spell work and black magic might not have been a bad thing, but a lot of the things in the book of Enoch that they talk about Yahweh, or talk about that the watchers were going to be punished for, were things that Lord Enki was bringing to the planet: agriculture and medicine and all that stuff. And then one of the I think it was Azazel or Azazel, however you pronounce the name, was supposed to be gonna be condemned because he brought beautifying the eyelids. So he taught people how to get their makeup right, and that was supposed to be something that he gonna be punished eternally for. That part, I'm really having to dig a little bit deeper, and like I said, it's probably gonna take me into some of the Gnostic texts to get more understanding for it before we get further into that. But yeah. Chillin' Dylan, you said you trying to be the best. I didn't even see what Chillin' Dylan had to say. But the answer you said was try being the best version of yourself so she won't decide to pursue better options instead of trapping her through finances. You shouldn't be in any relationship until you fix that's hey, until you fix yourself. I don't know what Chillin' Dylan said, but your answer, whatever the question was, your answer is spot on. Weston, people should not be making transactional relationships that involve the mattress mambo and their bodies. Love should, especially during this day and time, because we're being called to step out of that old Yahwist way of thinking. They've desensitized us to what sexuality is supposed to be, um, as well as love and relation. The whole human dynamic has been off scale, but we're reaching a point in time where men and women are supposed to be coming together in sacred unions, not continuing to play the daddy warbucks and the game that's old as time sort of thing. It's our relationships have been far too transactional because we've been programmed and taught to do that. They've hypersexualized everything. They've told us that men and women can't get along, that we're only as good as our wombs are, and men are only as good as their wallets are. And that's just a bunch of nonsense. We just got to get over. We really do. What did Bro 100 say? Oh, that part, yeah, about John D. Absolutely. Michael Weston, you say you've impacted the weather too? Awesome. Yeah. He said, told Mr. Jalapeno, you said you're on an application, your First Amendment rights in when you get timed out. That's true. Because your First Amendment rights is fine, but we got some here too. And if the mods think you being disrespectful, they don't have to put up with you. This ain't no democracy over here. This is our channel. If you can talk as much foolishness as you want on your channel, and I've seen some ridiculous channels out there. Lord, you try not to be judging people and you don't want to criticize, but I've seen some stuff in the past few days just scrolling when I get, because when you go into the reels and once you hit a live stream, there's a way you can kind of shift over so that you'll be scrolling nothing but live streams for a while. And some of the stuff that these people do for attention on YouTube. But I ain't here to knock their hustle, because even some of the ridiculous stuff that I've seen, people still pay them for it. And if that, I mean, look, when we look at the stuff that we sign in and clocked in and work 40-hour a week jobs for, if people want to support channels that are letting people watch them sleep, or they out there twerking in the driveway, or look like they crashing out, or they eating themselves to death, eating high calorie carb food, whatever it is that they choose to do. If there's somebody that want to spend their time watching them and pay them for it, I ain't trying to knock their hustle. But if I'm not about that, I'll just keep scrolling, and that's what old boy should have did rather than sit here talking crap to us. You said you just got through doing 3 years out of a prison system for some racist cops that came to your house and said, and you said a freedom of speech slogan. Oh wow. Dang, Nicole, I'm sorry that happened to you, my dear. And people need to realize that too, the way the laws and first off, the first thing that people in America, and again, I know we got people from all around the world watching this, but the people in America, I need for y'all to go back and understand that our Constitution is not truly a Bill of Rights for everyone. It is not, okay? It should be, but it's really not. Our Constitution, our Declaration of Independence, and our Constitution are truthfully articles of incorporation, okay? The Declaration of Independence is our corporate mission statement, and the Constitution are our articles of incorporation signed off by the first board of directors. It's a corporation. And at the time that they did all of that, it did not apply to everybody. It was applying to those who were falling under that corporation, basically the folks who operated in the corporation's interest. None of that really applied to the indigenous people that they displaced to come here and create that corporate structure, nor did it apply to the free labor that they brought in thanks to the foreign exchange program. So, yeah, our amendments, it's nice that they eventually told us it apply to everybody, but ultimately they never intended for our amendments to apply to everyone. And we still see rampant injustice in our justice system. You would think that they would go back to those documents and look at that, but like I said, Nicole just this is a prime example. She did 3 years in prison over a freedom of speech slogan. Now, we wasn't there to hear all of the documents, but still, if she didn't put her hands on nobody and didn't brandish a weapon toward nobody and didn't make a terroristic threat against anybody, there shouldn't be anything that come out of her mouth in America that will warrant her ending up sitting up in prison for 3 years for. And yet here we are. And I don't disbelieve her at all. I completely believe her. Here to learn, you still talking about Sylvia? And again, she probably did start out with a good agenda, but unfortunately, there are a lot of folks that get in with that big Hollywood, big whatever thing. When you get to a certain point of popularity, the powers that were are going to reach out to you, and some folks have become unwitting vehicles of some of those systems and programs. Some of them are willing tools of them, but I think some folks probably went in a little naively and get sucked into things that they didn't really realize that they're signing on the dotted line for. I think there's quite a lot of that happens, especially in any aspect of the entertainment industry, media, sports, music, Hollywood, all of those types of things. Yeah, and at the time there wasn't that many people on that. She was unique. Like I say, she paved the way. So in that, her, Miss Cleo, and ones like them, they paved a way at a time when not a lot of people were doing what they did. And for that, they do have my respect, even whether I agree with what they were doing or not. I wasn't into this kind of spirituality at that time. So I kind of distrusted all of that. I was scared of like palm readers and psychics and tarot readers and all that because of my religious programming. My heart would jump out of my chest if I walked by a palm reader. So that little psychic sign they had talking about, if I saw that, and I've had that happen to me, and my heart would just race. Now maybe that was something from a past life that was reaching out, as far as that making me aware of it like that. I don't know, but yeah. Oh wow, Brittany. So the storm was protecting you, and there is a way of. Oh yeah, you can talk to the Negas and the Garudas, but there is a thought pattern or belief system that talks about like the crystal kingdom, the animal kingdom, the plant kingdom, the mineral kingdom, the energy kingdom, and the things that control the weather. There are beings, if you will, powers, principalities, what have you, that control all of those things. And even when it comes down to the idea of the storms, the natural disasters that we have, it's a transference of energy. Our focus and our energy gets so raggedy as human beings that the energetic transfer of our negativity actually causes some of the natural disasters that we experience. Now, again, we can't prove that, but that is a thought process out there, and I believe there is some truth. I believe there's some truth to that. I really do. Because even in the scriptures, it says towards the end of days, before they got Yahweh in check, or Satan, the devil, and all that. If you go read Revelation, it says how the natural disasters will be ramping up and up and up. Yeah, it happened back before the flood too. It was like a culmination, a buildup of energy that led up to this huge calamity. But it says that in the last days that those things will be happening again, that there will be wars and rumors of wars and famines and pestilences and earthquakes and floods and all the rest of that stuff. But guess what? The wars and rumors of wars was listed first. All that fighting and infighting of humans, that energy is never destroyed. It's only transferred. When people go out here and wage an actual global conflict, where do they think that that energy is going to express itself? It's going to express itself somewhere. And if it comes out in natural disasters, don't be surprised. First off, Tiffany Gardner, you don't need help with a married man. You need help with your self esteem. Because why the hell would you mess with a married man? He don't have no respect for you, his wife, or himself. You need some self esteem and some self respect. You don't need no help with no relationship with a married man. What make you think you don't deserve your own? You've been in 7 months. You in a relationship with your kid's father for 23 years, but it's dead. You want and think you love this man, please help. He don't love you. He might ply your guts for you, but he don't genuinely love you, because if he did, he'd leave his wife and then step to you. Don't disrespect yourself, and don't disrespect your children by drawing yourself in the middle of that mess. Don't disrespect that other lady, because I'm gonna tell you one thing: karma's a bitch, and she do know everybody address. The way you get that man is the way you're gonna lose him. I promise you, if you get a cheater, don't be surprised when he cheat on you. You ain't that great that all of a sudden you gonna stop a hoe from being a hoe. You fooling yourself, Tiffany Gardner, and I said what I said. Ooh, I ain't even see what Brittany and Antoine had to say about it, but yeah. My thoughts on Papa Legba, all of the deities, honestly, when I first got drawn to tarot, I had a conversation with the Baron, with Baron Simdi, which some people think correlates to Papa Legba. Um, I don't follow Ifa or the Yoruba traditions per se, but like I said, I understand. I don't have no issue with Papa Legba. He had a nice outfit. You won't lie. Yeah. Honestly, that was some of my favorite characters in American Gods. Him and Brigitte. Yeah, they was jazzy as hell. I love that. I really wish Orlando Jones had stayed on the series, and I would have loved to have seen it go another 3 or 4 series. The way they cut it off with Odin at Idrisil, or oh boy Wednesday, or whatever it was, on the tree, that was so wrong, because they basically just let him stay there till he died. Oh, Brittany, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Right now, I honestly, well, not to be too TMI up here, but we all grown folks in this chat. I hope we are anyway. I haven't started my enemas yet, so I know I'll feel better when I do that. But I will say, yesterday, I made a, no, because I still had like a little bit of fruit left. So I made a smoothie. It was an avocado and 2 small bananas with some almond milk. And what else did I put in there? I didn't even put the protein powder in there. I basically just made a pure smoothie with the fruit like that. And I guess it was the fat content between the bananas and the avocado. I had a little tummy trouble this morning, but truthfully, it was needed. And like I said, tomorrow, I probably won't do it tonight, because I just, when I get off the live stream, I'm gonna go on and go to bed. But tomorrow I'll get in and actually start flushing my system. But so far, so good. So yeah. Michael Weston, yeah, that's what we're gonna do. Brittany says she's doing 7 days. I think somebody's doing a 3 day dry fast. I'm trying to get past the 3 day mark. I want to go do the 7 with her, but then I'm gonna continue on. I'm trying to go for the big 40. So I'm gonna start sounding a little weird to y'all, but hey, that's all part of it, you know. Like I said, Yeshua did it, and I'm being my spirit team has been on me for a while to do that 40 day fast, so I'm gonna do it. Honestly, Niana, I thought about making some sea moss, and if I really get to where I'm feeling like I need more nutritional support, I got some sea moss up in the cabinet, and I can make some gel. I might even allow myself to get like some a big jar of applesauce or something to take the sea moss with. I have a hard time just raw dog and sea moss. I don't like the taste of it, but I'll flavor it with something so that I can take it and start doing sea moss as well. I got some sea moss, the supplements, the pills, but I want to actually make some fresh sea moss. You said Christians are not happy. They won't be happy till everybody's Christian, and then only if they'll bring on Armageddon. Even if everybody was Christian, they still don't get along amongst themselves. We live in the land of in God we trust, and had a civil war right here on our back door 100 years, couple 100 years ago. Exactly, bro. 100. All of that repent before it's too late. Like too late for what? Dinner? Like you don't get to call the shots on. But again, they have been energetically marching the entire planet towards Armageddon for 2,000 years now. They done prophesied and prayed for it and preached it. And truthfully, we are energetic beings. If they preach it long enough, we will march ourselves towards it. Only thing is, I don't believe Armageddon is what they think it is. When I read all of this stuff, and after having read Inky stuff and excuse me, and the Emerald Tablets and all of that, in my opinion, Armageddon is the last skirmish, the final skirmish in the Anunnaki Wars. You say you a Bigfootist, a leprechaunist, and a fairyist. I ain't mad at you. I'm some of all of them too. When you die, do you see loved ones? In my opinion, you do, David. And the reason I say that, because again, I've listened to hundreds of near-death experience store accounts at this time, and I also have a tendency. I followed a couple of hospice nurses, Nurse Penny, and I forgot the other one. That she wrote the book or whatever, but they'll tell you towards like right before the end, almost all people that are on their deathbed start reaching out, like they're, and some of them will tell you so and so showed up. They start talking to people that have passed on decades before them. They're seeing their grandmama, their granddaddy, their dog sometimes will come from them, but almost everybody that's still left with a voice and the ability to speak before they transition off this earth start either reaching for or describing a welcoming party that's coming to get them right before they die. So why would we think we don't see them? If they can see them before they die, why would they suddenly disappear when we die? We just need to get to a point where we're willing to stop buying into religion thing and believe what people are actually telling us. They literally have hundreds of thousands of near death experiences out there that tell us what it's like when we get to the other side, but people don't want to believe that. And like I said, all hospice nurses all around the country report those same sort of things, that there's a welcoming party that comes. Very few people truly ever die alone. If nothing else, the angels will show up for you, or Yeshua will come for you. Nobody really dies alone on this planet. Oh Lord, David or Jesus, I ain't heard from them before, but we're gonna find out what they got to say when they come back. You say you gonna win the lottery? Look, we are literally like spiritual twinsies walking in lockstep. So you probably will, and we're gonna do some fabulous things. But you know what? I do want to make a date with you. When we do, I want to go someplace fun, and before I get married, we're gonna be on the beach drinking something out of a coconut with some fine dude named Alejandro serving it to us. How about that, Brittany? You down? I'm down. Okay. Uh-oh, I didn't even see what Ricky Mason had to say either. You said we're gonna be a silly boo. Honestly though, Antoine, I don't think it's being silly because like I said, I used to think that it was a far-fetched idea, but I was shown that like a while back, and I know it didn't come when I thought it was gonna come because of the people I still had around me. But I've been shown a lottery win, and I don't even play all the time. But I started playing a little more regularly than that. I don't put a lot of money in it. I just get a ticket here or there when I feel like really nudged to get one. But again, whether it comes as a lottery win or whether the ascended masters just choose to drop off a box of money at my doorstep, or I open my banking app one day and I got, 6 or 7 zeros that weren't there before. When spirit is ready for you to step into that area of divine service and they know you need the finances for it, they can deliver it to you just like that. And a lot of us have missions to do that require more money than we're gonna ever be able to swipe a time clock and come up with on our own. We're either gonna have some kind of a patron or sponsor, some kind of a benevolent person step up that want to help us, or we're gonna do it through crowdfunding, or some of us will do it through winning monetary prizes. Weston, you say treat life like dirty rags, they deserve it. Since they done sat there and wished everybody else the hell it does seem kind of unfair that they don't get to experience the thing that they done told everybody else they gonna get, but they don't. Ricky Mason, I get my knowledge from some of everywhere. I get books, podcasts, websites, videos, meditation, but mainly books. Even if I get them in audiobook format, still mainly books. Like I said, I've been reading the Bible for 50 something years, and then in meditation, Yeshua pointed me to some other things, and then I started reading um, a lot of different things. And then I'm led, thanks to the internet, instead of me watching pimple popping videos and rump shaker videos and real households of wherever, I go on University of YouTube. There is a wealth of information here on YouTube. Some of everybody that you could imagine, but you have to train your algorithm for it. And I have. I don't waste my time. Well, I ain't gonna say it. Lately I've been entertaining myself with like story time type stuff. But for a long time, for a number of years, 90% of what I consumed, and I spent the same amount of time watching YouTube that the average person would spend watching TV. But instead of watching sitcoms and violent movies and that kind of stuff, I was watching documentaries and listening to audiobooks and listening to guided meditations and listening to various like spiritually focused podcasts that were having guests from all around the world speaking on those types of subjects. That's the way my algorithm is trained, so that's where I get my knowledge from. You said onion lunch knowledge from, well, first of all, Jesus Christ is not where I get. I am clairaudiently linked to Yeshua, but I don't know what onion lunch knowledge is. But that's on you, Ricky Mason. If you come here to be disrespectful, just carry on. If you don't like what we're talking about here, you don't agree with it, you don't have to. I don't care whether you agree or not. I know what I know, and that's all I need to know. I don't need, because your opinion of what we're talking about here, who really cares about your opinion? That right there, that ignorant level of elementary Christianity, Judaism, the Abrahamic, whatever, you get your knowledge from God. But the sad part is, you've been so flim-flammed and bamboozled, you probably don't even know who God is. That's the sad part, that you come in here with knowing so damn much that I get my knowledge from God. You don't even have a clue who God really is. And if you telling me it's Yahweh, Jehovah, Allah, I know you don't know who he is, because you worship the devil and don't even have sense enough to know it. And if you do know he's the devil and that's still where you get your spiritual knowledge from, then I really don't care about your opinion. How about that, Ricky Mason? To the sin, repent, repeat. Yeah, that stuff. Mister, I want the new generation to understand that we've been lied to. That this, just because your mama and your grandmama plunked your little butt down on the synagogue or the church house or the masjid or wherever it was that you was going, does not mean they had all the answers. That most of the stuff we've been led to believe comes from a spiritual system that is literally only 2,500 years old, even though our history of this planet goes back hundreds of thousands of years. So it's very arrogant on their part to think that they have all the answers in the be all and the end all. And one of the reasons I know they don't have all the answers is because they've given us this hiding, watch the bouncing ball type mentality of theology. They've convinced us that everything that's old is mythos. It's not real. That's just a story. Don't pay attention to that back there. That's a myth. It's mythology. This over here is the only truth. This is all we can look at. This is all we need to do. This is the absolute truth, the absolute word of God. And it just got here. And we only got it in printed form 500 years ago. And you're telling me that God is supposedly a loving God, and his humanity done rocked out here for 40, 50, 100,000 years on this planet. And they just decided to write it down 500 years ago. And I'm supposed to believe that's the absolute only truth? I refuse to be that ignorant. No, that ain't even ignorant. That's just stupid. It's silly. But yet, that is the line, that's the hill that Christians are willing to die on. And the poor Jews, they still chasing around after that damn storm god that keep dangling that promised land in front of them, telling them he gonna deliver it to them. He never gave it to them during the Bible times, and they still over there to this day fighting people over that little postage stamp piece of land, talking about it's their birthright. First off, the Jews that's fighting for it today are not the actual Jews, and that's in the book too. Flim flamming, bamboozling. The Muslims are still over there following a darn violent Allah, got them convinced that it's okay for them to treat women the way that they do. And it's okay to turn around and unalive people so that you can go on the other side and be rewarded this afterlife with 40 virgins and all of that, after you done violently unalive somebody in the name of Allah. How is that real? And how are people so elementarily stupid to continue to buy into that stuff? I want the new generation to understand we have been lied to, and it is okay for us to buck the status quo. It is our obligation to stop buying into our grandparents' nonsense religions. That's what I want the new generation to understand. Yeah, it is an absolutely vicious cycle, Nicole Davis, and we gotta cut it out. We just have to. They have sat here and let a cause they done remixed and watered down They put that stuff in the book because they couldn't redact and take everything out, but they put a spin on it to try to convince us that the crap that they advocate in the scriptures is okay, that it's not the mess that they um the hot mess that it really is, and it don't mean what it say. We can read, but then they turn around and make us feel stupid. I know that's what it say, but that ain't what it really mean. But that's what it say. Oh, but no, but that ain't what it really mean. And Yahweh is actually good, even though he done sat there and told you to chop up your child. No, no, no. He just testing your faith. It's cool for him to stop it. Stop it. Krista Pinker, you say shout out your birthday to who? I don't know. I don't see any previous comment from you, Krista Pinkert. But if you got an 8-year-old child that's having a birthday, happy born day to your child. Brian, I ain't even, like I said, I don't even be getting to see some of this stuff. Your bloodline came from Spain. They came to colonize. Don't feel bad, bro. 100. Look at America. They came to colonize. A lot of these folks colonizing all over the world, but they'll be all right. I got so far behind in the chat that I can't. Okay, here we go. Yep, Krista Pinkert, happy born day to your 8-year-old. And then, yeah, we don't do racism here. Thank you, Antoine, for being. I'm glad I ain't see that if they said something racist. Oh, he said spelled conscious. I thought they was really asking where my couscous was. I was like, I don't even eat couscous, but okay. Child, I wish I knew. I don't even know who playing the Super Bowl. Wait a minute. This is August. How you gonna talk about who gonna win the Super Bowl? How do we even know who going to the Super Bowl yet? Most of the time, I do pick the winner though, and I don't even follow sports. I couldn't care less if they didn't never throw another football nowhere on this planet. But I still usually wind up picking the winners. But I don't even know who playing till the day of because I don't follow sports. So, hey, Gerline, I didn't see you up in here. Yay, welcome. Oh, you said you got the prunes and dates, Antoine? Yeah. Honestly, Weston, I did a video a while back, or a few weeks ago now, when I was talking about starting the fast before. But Yeshua was it when he was speaking to the Essenes in the Essene Gospel of Peace. He gave them specific instructions when they were fasting, like how to behave. He talked about sun gazing or like grounding, doing breath work, basically getting fresh air and sunlight, but he also described doing like daily enemas every day during that fast until the water that was coming out of you was as clear as it went in, basically, for a specific reason. And then calling on the various angels, like the angel of air, the angel of sunlight, and all that good stuff. Hey, Clown Show. I hope you behave this time because, like I said, the mods don't be liking the nonsense. They really don't. You like Nurse Penny too, Brittany? Yay, I love her too. Here to learn. Nurse Ratchet wasn't too bad back in the day, but I don't even follow that kind of stuff no more. But yeah, Nurse Ratchet was a hot mess. uh, yeah, here to learn. When my grandmother transitioned, I didn't get to see her reaching for other people, but she was 97 and a half, and she came down with pneumonia like really like swiftly, and she was in the hospital for about 2.5 days. And when it got towards the end, she had that death rattle, and it was weird because I can smell death and my mother can too. And I started to smell death come into the room. But she was waiting for my mother. My mom had to do something. She was at work, and my niece and I were with her in the hospital until my mom got there, and she was just really laboring with her breathing. And I was told, I said, Mama, because my mother was her only child. And literally, when my mom walked in the door and started talking to her, she immediately began to relax. And her face, she was 97, but her face just genuinely like smoothed over. And I watched her just let go. And she took another few breaths after mama talked to her and kissed her and whatever, they had their moment, and she just took two or three more breaths and then just let go. And it was beautiful. I mean, it's a sad moment, but anybody that lived in 97, you know what I mean, they got their juice out this ride. You can't really sit there all that wailing and throwing yourself in the coffin. It's just ludicrous at that point. The dream state is real, Gerline, to a degree. Now, everything you see in the dream state, our mind, our subconscious does process things differently, so it may look a little weird. Sometimes our dreams are speaking to us in images and we can't quite decipher them, but it's just as real as anything else. Clown show, yes, I am very well aware that you have a higher chance of getting hit by a meteor than winning the lottery. However, I also understand that about twice a month somebody actually hits it anyway. So, that being said, if Spirit has shown me that in my future, I would much rather listen to them than you. If they've shown me that that can potentially happen, it may not happen tomorrow, it may not happen next week, but it's going to happen to somebody. So why not me? Especially if Spirit done shown it to me. They draw lotto three times every. I think Powerball is three times a week, and Mega Millions is twice a week. So 5 times a week, every week in the United States, they have a lottery drawing, a national lottery drawing, 5 times a week. That is 260 times every year that somebody has a potential to win a minimum of $10 million. So why would you come in here and spew your negativity like that? I do understand the chances. And I think it's probably more likely the higher chance of getting hit by struck by lightning, not hit by a meteor. We don't have that many meteor showers that don't burn out before they hit our atmosphere. But I understand that the likelihood is slim, but you know what? The likelihood of hitting the lottery is a lot slimmer for those who talk like you and don't believe, because you gotta play to win. That's first and foremost. But when you got 260 chances per year to hit it, you can't really say that ain't nobody winning it, because plenty of people are showing up and winning it. It will, Brittany. Like I said, we're gonna leave the haters like Clown Show and all the rest of them. They just ain't on the team for what we trying to do. Ain't nothing to it. Hey, Ichiraku, how are you? No, because I don't need nobody to have me parroting nothing and clipping voice clips for something that I have no idea because I don't even know whether or not Brady is still playing or not. And like I said, I wouldn't give a rat's ass if they never threw another football nowhere on this planet. So no, I can't say that, Ichiraku. Sorry. Patrick AD said I was scamming somebody. I ain't even, like I said, I ain't even mentioned my buy me a coffee link if somebody chose to show me some love and whatever. But I haven't asked anybody for anything since I've been on here, and I've literally spent 149 minutes here. That's 2.5 hours of my own time for free. I pay my phone bill. The electricity here, I'm not asking Patrick AD to cover. I didn't ask Patrick to buy none of my clothes. I didn't ask Patrick to do anything. So, like you say, how can somebody be scamming somebody and they ain't ask them for no money? And if you think I'm scamming, then the First Baptist, wherever it is, wherever you go to church at, you go down there and tell your pastor that because they damn sure scamming people. You can't buy no tickets into heaven. That's the part to get me, the people that want to jump on here and talk about me scamming people. And like I said, people spend thousands of dollars on Beyonce tickets or any other concert tickets. She just one of the most expensive concert tickets I could think of. And there's a whole handful of televangelists that make so damn much money. They actually own private jets. Some of them own more than one private jet. And if they ain't scamming people, you can't come in here and call me a scammer. Oh, it's 11:30, bro. 100. I should have got up off of here way earlier than that, because for real, they are coming out now. Let me get down to the end of this line. Oh wow, Brittany. You know what is interesting that you say that? You know it'll be 143 million because the reason and it's interesting that you say you know the number because my number was 252 and I didn't even understand what 252 stood for. I think I've told y'all a story about getting up at 1:30 in the morning back in 2008 or 9 whatever it was and getting those clairaudient messages. One of them was a message for a lady that I work with and I gave her the message and it saved her life. The other one was a message for the dude I was dating at the time and it was that he was supposed to accept the next offer for the settlement. He had a huge lawsuit that he had been working on for a couple of years, several years. But the message was that if he did not accept the next settlement offer, it would all go away. And he literally lost $238 million because he didn't listen to me. But that night, I also heard that I would be blessed with another child and I didn't understand how that was, and I still don't understand how that's going to play out because my tubes have been tied. I'm 57 years old. I don't know if it's a child that we're going to adopt somewhere down the line. I have no idea. But I also heard the number. I couldn't decide at the time if it was 251 or 252, and I did not know what it meant. But I honestly believe that that's the amount of what I'm going to hit for. Maybe it's 252,000 on a fantasy five. I don't know, but that number has been significant for me for 15 years now. But again, I ain't even mad about why it didn't happen 15 years ago because I do understand. I actually had an incident, and I think I've mentioned that to y'all before on here too. I had an incident one night where I was really, really inspired, like, get a ticket tonight. And I wrote the numbers down that I wanted my ex to get, and he went to the store and I gave him the money to buy the tickets. It ain't like I was asking him to spend his money. I gave him the money to buy the ticket. Ooh, 40 viewers, 40 likes. I like that. Um, and I had three sets of numbers that I wrote down exactly what I wanted him to get, and I gave him the money for it. I didn't know he had a gambling problem at the time. He was buying ridiculous amounts of like 10, 20 tickets at a time, and we really didn't have money like that. But this night, I was so inspired to do it. I bought three sets of numbers, gave him the money for it, and sent him to the store. He came back and I didn't know he was so busy trying to feed his own weird gambling stuff that he was doing that instead of getting the numbers I asked him to do, he decided to take like three numbers off of one of my sets of numbers and three numbers off another set of numbers. And he only purchased like one or two sets, I think, of numbers for me, and then bought like 10 or 12 quick picks or whatever it was he was doing for himself. And that night, the numbers that I had picked hit for $91 million. But because of the way he had actually played the numbers, I wound up getting three numbers on one set of numbers and three numbers on another set. So I won like $7 or $8 instead of winning 91 million. I was so upset. But like my daughter said, with the people that I had around me and the people he had around him, it's kind of a good thing that I didn't win the lottery at that point in time, because I probably wouldn't still be here. If he didn't do it, some of the people that he was with would most likely have unalived me for that money, because I was way too trusting at that time, and he would have known about it, and he really could never keep secrets. He didn't know how to move and operate. He would have told way too many people and acted a fool, and it would have just been a major problem. Ooh, Amari has something weird to say. Mm-mm-mm. No, baby, you're not the real Jews. If you ain't in Ethiopia somewhere with your black face, you're not the real Jews. Sorry. You should know that, and I know you know that. Exactly. They know. They just want to sit there and continue on with that mess, but it don't even matter to me. Because, like I said, at the end of the day, they still arguing over a piece of land that Yeshua promised them and never gave them. He lied to them and kept stringing them along. And I'm so sorry to tell them their forefathers were not the sharpest tools in the shed. Abraham wasn't, and neither was Moses, because they kept following this damn storm god that kept lying to them and not delivering on their promises. He's violent and he's a liar, and they still following his violent lying ass. Molly, you keep dreaming of them because they're trying to communicate with you. Why would you keep asking them to leave? Ask them why they're there. See, get the message that they're trying to give you instead of asking them to leave. They're showing up in your dream to communicate something to you, my dear. Awesome, God's princess. I'm glad you learned stuff. Have a beautiful rest of your evening, and hopefully you'll join us another time. Absolutely. I'm glad we got it straight. Like you said, we wasn't understanding it first, but I'm glad we got it right. Awesome. You see you in a cartoon world with McMahon heading the Department of Education. Oh my God. Yeah, y'all, you gonna be in a cartoon world with that. Ew, Weston, why would, well, that's on you. I hope you change your mind, honey, because I honestly believe within our lifetimes we're gonna start seeing expanding lifetimes. People talking about they don't want to live past a certain age. I get it with the way we've been lied to and the wars and the violence and all of that. But if all of that stuff ended and our telomeres were uncapped so that we could live 300 or 400 years in health and peace and prosperity, why would you only want to not live to 60? You say that now because, like you say, you're only 28 right now. That's why. Honestly, though, you Weston, you said bringing a WWE wrestler in to work on health education is par on course with this administration. Forget medical experts. Let's have actions with big muscles come in and do it. You can't really say that though, honey, because they had a computer program and shut the a computer programmer shut the whole world down in 2020. Bill Gates was running the World Health Organization. So you can't get upset if Trump call in a wrestler to do healthcare reform. Think about what you're saying before you say it. So that don't make him no better or no worse than the other administration. They literally allowed a computer programmer to shut down the entire world for a year and push vaccines out that did far more harm than they did good, because it's what he wanted. Even though he had sat on a public platform doing a TED talk 15 years before that and said that starting a pandemic would be the best way to thin the population of the earth, and all that the pandemic didn't get rid of, selective vaccination would. He said that in a TED talk 15 years before the pandemic. Know what you're talking about when you criticize folks. A wrestler is a person too. Just because a person is a wrestler don't mean they don't have intelligence, and don't mean they can't be of some good to people. So you give uh-oh. Oh well, I always wanted 4 kids too, Brittany. I wanted 2 girls and 2 boys, and that's exactly what I got. I lost one child in the middle of all of that, a girl, but I wound up with 2 daughters and twin boys in the middle, and I wanted 2 girls and 2 boys from since I was like 11, 12, 13 years old. Yeah. Oh wow, a balance of spirituality and material goals. When I said that, and we were sitting here talking about spirituality and material goals, that's really cool. I love that. Armda, you can message me privately. You can email me at modernmysticmessages@gmail.com, and we can take it from there. I can give you a link to the WhatsApp group or whatnot, or you can just go ahead and email me at Modern Mystic Messages on something personal, and we can figure that part out. Yeah. Ain't no problem. Sometimes we grown folks here. We're not gonna stray way off into politics, but I don't mind speaking on it occasionally. Oh Lord, Weston, but then I just found out you 28. That's why you say that. If I win the lottery, I know exactly where I want to go and what I want to do, and it ain't got nothing to do with adopting and flying over no baby elephants at all. I don't deal with pendulums very much here to learn that my spirit team has not um, guided me to work with pendulums, so I don't. I'm trying to see Molly where I don't see what you was talking about, so I'm not gonna strike go up there. That's why I say before you get to 60 though, we're gonna be in a whole different world, Weston. That's what we're here for. And if it doesn't happen in my lifetime, it's certainly gonna happen in yours, my dear. I have every faith of that. This ain't gonna go much longer. And the reason I don't feel like it's gonna go much longer, I know we've been hearing that mess for a while, but if you notice, back in 2020, we had a massive timeline shift, a whole paradigm shift. You know it's a for real paradigm shift when you're hearing it on mainstream television. We're in a different reality, in a different timeline. They didn't think we were going to get this far, but we did. We survived 2012. The reason the Mayan calendar stopped at 2012 is because every time we get to this point in the simulation, it's reset. But we survived that, and we're another 13 years on the other side of that now. It's going to happen soon. Okay. Exactly. Leading baby elephants where they at, West, and we got too much stuff to do to help build new earth and get people together. Them elephants are over there where they need to be. We need to worry about all the children that still going to bed hungry and being trafficked and all that other stuff. And when the powers that were fall, I always think about that scene with Tina Turner coming out at the end of Thunderdome when they singing "We Don't Need Another Hero," but we are the heroes. That's the thing. When Brittany is seeing herself being granted a large amount of money, when I'm seeing myself get being granted a large amount of money, it's not just so we can run around and do the internet famous Instagram baddie thing and just be hoop de hoop and rubbing it up with celebrities. That'd be nice if we meet some, but I'm gonna be wanting them celebrities to pull their checkbooks out because we still got a lot of work to do. We're not asking for wealth just for the sake of wealth. We know what we're going to do with spirit and already shown us what to do with it. Oh, you get the people that are showing up in your dreams are people that were friends of yours and they stabbed you in your back. Then clear your energy. If you have people that have already transitioned and they're showing up in a negative way in your dreams, clear your energy and do energetic cord cuttings. Truthfully, if they're not showing up in any kind of violent or hateful way, they might be showing up in your dreams asking for forgiveness so that you can release it and they can be released and let go. Their consciousness may be bothering them through their life review of the way that they did you dirty, and it may be part of their resolving of their karma to try to come back and seek some kind of forgiveness or resolution with you now through the dream state if they've already transitioned. I'm just saying. So don't pray to God, but ask them why they're there in the dream and then work it out and send them on their way. But you do need to. Oh, good night, Antoine. You got to go. You too, Brittany. Have a good night. I'm on my way out too, because I do see it's getting super, super late. But yeah, I was just trying to get through the bottom of these notes to see where we're at. Your life experiences is your truth, and young people will look to you for guidance. That's what I'm here to do, is to try to help folks. Like I say, I'm not even worried about you afraid to be involved in a global conflict. Again, I don't think we're gonna have a global conflict in your old age. You're only 28, honey. Stop worrying about that, because you're marching yourself towards it by worrying about that. See the world you want to live in, not the one you scared to live in. Like seriously, we're creating new earth on the fly, but you can't create it if you can't see it. Don't look at what's here and assume it's going to get worse. Create some a vision of something that you actually want to live in instead of being scared of what you don't want to live in. Nagib, I can't tell you about your life. You can tell you about your life. I'm not a fortune teller like that. Now, if you want me to read tarot for you, show up tomorrow on my other channel, Anunnaki Oracle Priestess, and I'll be able to pull some cards for you. But just to show up on a live stream, can I tell you about your life? No, not really. It don't work that way. Why am I so close to UK games? I have no idea. Probably because I'm leaning into the thing right now because I'm tired. My posture is bad and I'm not sitting up like I should be. But if you don't like it, just back your phone up a little bit. That's true, Brittany. Your old friends could be coming in your dreams to show you why and how you attracted them so you can release that and ascend. Oh, you were saying goodnight to Antoine, Brittany? Okay. How you gonna use a baby elephant as a teaching tool? Well, again, that's on you. I am very much against holding wild animals like that in captivity. I don't even go to zoos anymore for that very reason. That's no life to have for those beautiful creatures. Even if you got money and you can go do that, you're going to take a baby elephant away from his family. Elephants do colonize for life. So you're going to pull a baby elephant away from his family just because you got enough money to go do it and use it as a teaching tool. How and for what reason? Think about what you're saying. Too many humans have arrogantly assumed that they have a right to hold those majestic wild creatures in captivity when we really should not be doing that. I'm just saying. Good night, good night, Niana. Yeah, I really don't. I just feel like there's just no reason for it. Just for our entertainment sake, there's no reason or justification for that. You talking about you raising awareness about how they were kept by perpetuating how they're kept when they could be free out there somewhere in the wild? Sound good, but that sound like you just trying to figure out how to justify being more of the problem, Weston. I'm sorry, I gotta call it like I see it. Cause you gonna take an elephant. You talking about rescue? The baby elephant don't need your rescue. He over there minding his own business, and you because you got enough money to go do so, you gonna go somewhere and get a baby elephant and raise it to an adult to supposedly raise awareness about how they're kept in captivity. But you're going to put this elephant in captivity so you can raise awareness about how they're kept in captivity. That's just being more of the problem. Okay, again, do what you choose. That's up to you. Again, there's enough people for me to try to help and do stuff for me not to worry about what the baby elephants are doing right now. And again, I hear you, here to learn. But if they hadn't started that whole mess with zoos, elephants have no business being on nowhere on the American continent. Nowhere. So the fact that they got them here is already a problem. They wouldn't need to be on an elephant sanctuary if they had not already had elephants here that had no business being here. That part, that entire part. And they were only brought here for people's entertainment to put them in zoos and stuff. I don't have a problem with working with animals that are supposed to be worked with that way, but it's a difference in using a domesticated ox or a domesticated horse or a donkey and actually putting an elephant on a cargo plane and bringing it halfway around the world just to prove a point. That's not the same thing at all. I'm not even a vegetarian at this point, so I am not judging using all animals. Some animals are just seriously raised in this country to be a food crop. Now, do we overeat flesh? Probably, but I'm not even going that far. I'm talking about these folks that like the idea of exotic pets. So they out there in the wild messing with stuff, creating zoos and circuses, like Here to Learn said, just for our entertainment because we somebody had the money to go do it and felt like because they could do it they had a right to do it, and then we wind up with these scenarios with a bunch of wild animals living in sanctuaries somewhere in the United States because they done got too old to be used in the commercial reason that they was initially brought here for, and they can't turn them loose in the wild. They not truly domesticated. It's a whole bunch of issues that was completely unnecessary. Elephants ain't got no business in the United States, neither do tigers and lions. Oh my. Neither do boa constrictors and things like that. But we have all of that stuff because people are too damn nosy and got more money than common sense and go roping off all of these exotic pets and then don't know what to do with them. Then we have to have all these damn sanctuaries to hold a bunch of unwanted pets when they could have left them animals to be where they at. If I was going to spend the money on something, I wouldn't be spending it on an elephant to bring out awareness of how they're kept in captivity. Might be to start an awareness group to stop the poachers and stuff from killing them. That part. You don't have to put an elephant in captivity to get better laws and stuff to stop poachers from killing them. Yeah. Right. I mean, and they can carry stuff, but they're way too intelligent to be used the way they've been used anyway. They don't forget at all. They remember their families for a lifetime. They remember who's good to them. They remember who harms them. So there's no reason they should be bothered with, period. They show a very strong family structure in the wild. Exactly, Here to Learn. Spend it on children, spend it on helping families become self-sustaining business owners. There's all kinds of ways that you could spend that money other than putting exotic animals in a further putting another exotic animal out of place just to prove a point in the name of trying to help, but it's actually perpetuating a problem. You you said you happy you found me your finger hit the wrong thing, or did it? There are no real accidents, you know. So your finger did not hit the wrong thing. Your guides wanted you to find something up in her, and thankfully you did. I'm glad you found us too, Molly. Like for real. Hey, SciCC 360, how are you? How are you? How are you? And Miss Yates, Miss Amanda is back. That 4444, yeah, stability and support from the divine, absolutely. Yeah, there are no accidents, period. Period. Even when uncomfortable things happen, there's always a bigger reason behind stuff than people are aware of. I Yeah, I'm honestly so thankful for being able to see and accept that, because I know a lot of people get stuck on things like, why do bad things happen to good people? Why do babies die? That sort of thing. And they can't accept, they get so bitterly angry at that sort of thing, they can't see the bigger picture. And it's kind of sad. Well, good luck with that, building the infrastructure in the Ukraine. You have to deal with here's that, and this is where, and again, we just all having a conversation, so I get that part. The only problem with that, Weston, is you gotta basically reform the political system before you can even touch the infrastructure, because it's the political system is the reason why the infrastructure is screwed in the first place, right or wrong. Same thing here in the United States. They got plenty of money that we could have fresh water and plenty of food for everybody to eat. There's no reason why people are living in the streets in the United States, but every major city in the United States has a huge problem with homelessness now. That part. So before we can touch the infrastructure, you have to deal with the governmental structure. And you, me, and no lottery winner on this planet got enough money to buy that. So that's why I say the change is happening. That revolution, it's not going to be televised. That's got to go down first, kind of, sort of, to start changing the thinking of the people that's running the show. And it's happening. Don't feel like, don't, it's not a lost cause, y'all. Just because it's a slow process doesn't mean it's not happening. Like I said, them folks that think like that and do that stuff, they ain't gonna live forever. Even people carry on about Trump and Biden. Both of them dudes is damn near 90 years old. People talking about, oh, I wish Trump could run for 2 or 3 more terms. Now, I like Trump. I don't have an issue with Trump, but I promise you, this his last term. He don't. He deserves to spend the rest, even if he's healthy as a horse at the end of this one. He did this out of the goodness of his heart. He won't even take a salary for it, but he is a billionaire, and he does deserve to enjoy his last few years in peace, not continuing to slave away to help people that don't even respect his help. Oh, I'm glad you caught it too, CC. How are you? Trump is a reality TV star, but he's more than that. I understand. I didn't say they weren't evil. You never heard me say that they were not. The one thing I will say, though, in Trump's defense, I'm not saying that any of the parties are doing what they're supposed to, but everybody in politics is not evil. There are some people that are genuinely trying to make a difference, but they're tilting at windmills, kind of like Don Quixote, because the overall system is screwed. But I do believe that Trump is sincere, because like I said, he don't have to be doing this. He was somewhere living his billionaire life. He got enough money that the crap that's happening on the world really don't touch him one way or the other. He could go somewhere and wipe his butt with $100 bills for his lifetime and all of his children's lifetimes, and they would be just fine. He is doing this without taking a salary to try to help. And the reason he did that, because he does understand a loophole of bankruptcy law that allowed him to exploit that to his advantage and become a billionaire. But overall, what he is more than a reality TV star. He's not a fake billionaire. Most billionaires don't have $1 billion just sitting in the bank doing nothing here to learn. They are leveraged. Their assets are usually leveraged up to their eyeballs. They have equity. They have billions on paper. He's a real estate mogul that, like I said, took an advantage of his knowledge of bankruptcy law to be able to do this. However, what he is a businessman, and he understood the thing that I was talking about earlier that most people don't see. Most people in America are so silly that they actually think we live in a democracy, and it's never been a democracy. We live in a democratic republic with a capitalist bent. And that's what they don't even understand. We are in a republic, and it is a business. Our Constitution is an article of incorporation. Our Declaration of Independence is our corporate mission statement. And so he said, instead of continuing to run this into the ground with political greed and laziness, run this country like the corporation, the company that it is, and dig yourselves out of trouble. Because truthfully, like I said, they've been printing money left, right, and sideways for decades to where the dollar is on its way to collapsing as we speak. Now, it may not happen soon, but if they don't stop, it's going to. When they pulled us off the gold standard, go back and do your history and look at that. America flim flam the world by doing away with the gold standard. And then they continue to print. I think they print something like 400 and something $1 million a day in this country, and it's not sustainable. And Trump said you got to stop the corporate waste and spillage and tighten this shit up and run it like a company. Trim the fat and run it the way it's supposed to be, or you're going to run yourselves right into bankruptcy. And he's not lying about that, whether you like him or not. He ain't lying about that, y'all. Well, the IRS do need to get their hands out the kitty because, like I said, income taxes were that's a whole nother issue. And truthfully, they put in God, they trust on their money. So you know what? If 10% is good enough for God, it should be good enough for the United States government. But it could be dug out. But again, the only way to do that is to stop the nonsense and run it like a company and tighten it up. They hate him because the Democratic Party has put so much propaganda out there. They brainwash people to hate him. Most of the stuff that they put out there is points to hate him. People is old enough to actually remember before he stepped into the public eye like that, when he was quietly in the background doing his thing. America loved him. Black folks loved him. Everybody loved him until the Democratic Party told us to hate him, and then he became the monster. Honestly, you partake 420, and that's all anybody would need. And that's why I know that they lie to us all the time. Because if it came down, like you said, an acre of land can grow enough for you and two or three families around you to survive. And if you have a water source and an acre of land, you will be just fine. And people don't realize we've been told about this need. Agenda 21 been talking about needing to depopulate the planet and all the rest of that. The entire population of the planet could fit into Texas, and everybody could have I think it's a half acre of land a piece just in the state of Texas. There's no shortage of land. There should not be any shortages of food anywhere on this planet. There is not really a shortage of clean water and all that stuff. All of the shortages that we're told about in the media is because of corporate greed and politics. There's no real shortages here. And it's so sad knowing that, and then still knowing that at least 100,000 people on this planet will go to sleep every night and will not wake up due to not having enough food and water on this planet. So it's not about having the money to go and feed those people, because it ain't got nothing to do with money. There's enough here that if it were distributed properly, World hunger could be solved tomorrow. It literally could be solved tomorrow. And people don't understand that. Here to learn ain't here to learn. They just here to argue. So I ain't even gonna mess with it because it's after midnight and I got a tarot uh, live to do in the morning. So I'm not gonna be on here for that much longer anyway. Yeah, that's why I say she's sitting there here to learn and steadily arguing, but no, it ain't. You talking about everywhere else, but here, no, the entire planet. I can remember being a youngster and they used to send us all, and I even asked people from Africa because my thing was, wait a minute now, hold up. I grew up watching them care commercials with the kids with the flies all over them and all the rest of that stuff, and they steady raising money, raising money, raising money. Every year for 20 or 30 years, they was raising money so that that little child sitting over there with them flies on them could be okay. Now I get it, due to civil wars and unrest and stuff through much of the African continent during the time when they were fighting against imperialism and colonization and all that stuff. There were famines that broke out in pockets due to civil wars. However, it occurred to me most of the African continent had been colonized by European countries. So you mean to tell me that a country under France's rule, France is over there, they doing just fine, and they got designer this and designer that, and the elite this and the Michelin star that. But countries that are under their governance, those people are starving to death so badly that American people got to keep sending money over there just so these people don't starve. And then when I started actually chatting online with people from Africa and found out what Africa really is like, and yes, there are pockets of poverty, and yes, there is some, but it's people over. Do people even understand that Nigeria got about 30 billionaires living in it right now? I think Ghana got about 10 or 15 billionaires living over there right now. There's people over there in Ghana and with Nigeria that got more money than everybody in this live stream right now put together. They're not telling us the truth. And even in countries like Bangladesh and India and all that, we see extreme poverty. But then go to some of them Indian weddings and look at all the extreme wealth that's there too. It's not a case of there not being enough to do it. It's too much corporate greed and individual greed that is allowing for the starvation and the violence we see on this planet. Hey, Mike Tyson from Liverpool, welcome, welcome. Hey, little Ed, welcome. The gold standard didn't hurt. It didn't hurt us. Taking us off the gold standard hurt us. That's one of the reasons they unalived Muammar Gaddafi. He was telling Africa to go back on the gold standard. Honestly, if Africa could stop fighting amongst themselves and unify, people don't even understand. Africa don't need nothing from the rest of the world. Nothing. The rest of the world needs stuff to come off of Africa every day. Africa could literally close up all of its borders and unify and would be a world power overnight. And that's one of the reasons they had to do away with the man that was telling them to go back on the gold standard and unify. Oh, they had to get rid of him quick, fast, and in a hurry. But now they're just printing money in the wind. And literally, like I say, eventually it's not sustainable if they just indiscriminately keep doing that. It won't hold any value. It can't. Cause and it ain't even about printing money now when everything is digital. Steve Trujillo, if you really believe he's lying about everything, then you need to go somewhere and open your mind, baby. Anyway, that's all I'm gonna tell you. I'm not even gonna argue with you because you just on some ignorance, but that's all right. Exactly, Brittany. They have no idea. That's why I say the Democratic Party has led the world to believe that Trump is a monster, but truthfully, Trump is literally trying to bail out a sinking vessel with one pot and a teaspoon, and they doing the best he can. He is bailing his little ass off, trying to keep this, because he does live in this country, and billionaire or no, he don't want to see it all fold up, because that will impact him too. If the entire dollar collapses, his billions ain't gonna matter worth a hill of beans. But the fact that he's willing to do it without taking a salary at all lets you know he's serious about doing what he do. You saying for people like me, you'll grow the food if I comment and help you. Like I say, if I get a hold of the means to do it, I look. We've had a good conversation tonight. We're about helping each other on here. I'm not saying we're not supposed to help each other, but these people that are jumping in here talking about Trump is the devil, they don't know what they talking about. They really don't. That's a whole political move, literally from the. And again, what the Democratic Party has done against the Republican Party is literally what Christianity and religion has done to the rest of the world. They sit there and point the fingers at the ones that's trying to help you and paint that one as the devil. Meanwhile, the real devil is the one that's smiling in your face. People don't even understand that. Especially, I get so upset when I see black folks in America supporting the Democratic Party. I don't do the race thing often, but for me, any black people that are still claiming to be Democrat are very ignorant, uninformed people. The Democratic Party is what actually gave us the KKK. The Democratic Party is what voted against uh, ending slavery. The Democratic Party voted unanimously against the civil rights movement. Why in the world would I ever want to support that foolishness? Ever. Black folks that support the Democratic Party are ignorant as hell. They caught up in Southern Baptist religiosity. And what was that, Hoover or whichever one said, I have them N-words voting Democrat for the next 200 years. They gave us a bunch of flashbang and government programs to schmooze folks into not understanding that they truly are the devil. Oh, agenda. I wouldn't be surprised. I thought it was more of an Illuminati document, but Agenda 21, definitely. I mean, I know it's been around for a long time, but they've been talking about selectively depopulating us for a long time for the benefit of the wealthy at the expense of the peons. And that like you said, it was written by the Democrats. That don't surprise me at all, at all, at all. Oh, really? Oh, wow. I didn't know I was the first YouTuber. Well, you might be I'm not the first one to talk about it. Probably because here's the thing: they get on here and everybody wants to be on the hate Trump, hate the whatever, love the Democrats, hate Trump, love. And I'm not saying I don't love everything the man does, but I also understand that there's some bigger stuff that's happening there. There's some subterfuge going on. It's smoke and mirrors. It was nice talking to you too, dear. You says disgusting child harmer that did that. Here to learn, did you understand that Biden is also just as creepy? His daughter wrote in her memoirs that she was forced to take showers with him up until she was like 11 years old. That's nasty. That was Biden. And he's still running around sniffing children's hair on the fly. Nasty. Have a good night. You partake 420. Hope you'll join us another time tomorrow. I am. I'm getting ready to get off of here now. I'm getting you good. Brittany, we on our way because you've been hanging in like a trooper. You surely do. Vicata, you gonna have to see me tomorrow. You said what? Original. I ain't gotta remember that message because you on some foolishness, so we don't have to listen to you. I'll be on Anunnaki Oracle Priestess hopefully by 10 a.m. It's 12. It's midnight now, so if not 10, look for me by 11. But I'm gonna try. But yeah, we gotta get going because the messages keep coming and keep coming. Oh, you lost 21 pounds. Awesome, Miss Yates. Awesome, awesome. I haven't even weighed again to see where I'm starting to fast at, but I started yesterday, so I will weigh in the morning and start bringing some numbers I can share with y'all. Said Trump and lied. Yeah, so many people came in here. Oh my God. Okay. Yeah, I'm getting out of here. Good night, y'all. Good night, good night, good night. I will see y'all tomorrow, like I said, on um Anunnaki Oracle Priestess by 10 a.m., 11 a.m., hopefully at the latest, Eastern time there. And then tomorrow is Thursday. I'm still going to try to be in tomorrow for a spiritual talk here, no later than 8 p.m., but we'll see how that goes. Thank you for joining me tonight. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you, Prophet Mamba. I'm sorry you came in right at the end, but my mods have been amazing and we got to go. So we'll have to see you on the next time. In the meantime, in between time, peace and blessings to you. I love you so much, soul family. Namaste.